Hello team and welcome back to the Football Social live on Football Daily and Soccer AM's YouTube pages. You're joining us for what some have christened the Europa League derby. It's the 166th North London derby where a stuttering Tottenham take on a much improved Arsenal side at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Now the home side currently sit 1 point above their North London rivals after just 2 wins in their last 5 games. Arsenal, meanwhile, unbeaten in their last 5, winning 4 of those, only dropping points to Leicester after having a man sent off. And joining me for today's show, an absolute stellar lineup, our chief guest, Mr. Danny Murphy, 400 plus appearances to his name in the Premier League and 100 goal involvements. An underrated feature of his game, you might say. How are you, Danny? Thank you for joining us.
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys, all right?
Absolutely superb. Make sure you get your questions to Danny. We filled into them throughout the whole game. Of course, joined by Football Daily royalty, it's Joseph Tomlinson as well. Mate, thanks for joining us.
No worries. Obviously, I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I'm filling in for an Arsenal fan. Dave Jackson's been called away on urgent business. So, I'm going to try and play the role of the Arsenal-sided viewpoint today. Hopefully, I think Arsenal are going to win, to be honest with you, because I just want to see Jose Mourinho lose again. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, Joe was promised to fill that Dave Jackson show by mindlessly screaming at his camera, mentioning no stats whatsoever throughout the whole 90, rounding the lineup. It's part of the furniture, up the Villa, down the Blues. Well,
yeah, normally at this point of the show I'd do a little poem, but I can't really be asked today. Chris just had to sit through Stoke 2, Birmingham 0, realisation that we're going to be in the Championship and in a relegation battle. And the last time we were in the playoffs, Danny Murphy was still playing for Fulham. Get in touch. It's the North London derby. Arsenal versus Tottenham. #TFS.
Yes, thank you very much. Blackwell said he is in social corner, so get your questions. Let's go to the we've heard from everyone on the show. Here we have average game confined to the Championship. Antonio scored 4 goals against them as his first career hat-trick, and he put a little bit something extra on there, didn't he, for us? Watford, Troy Deeney scoring 2 penalties to snatch a vital 3 points away from Newcastle. Liverpool dropping their run of wins at Anfield against Burnley, which I guess stole a point in the last 20 minutes. Sheffield United with yesterday's shock result beating Chelsea convincingly 3-0. McGoldrick finally getting his first goals of the season with a brace, and Manchester City absolutely decimating Brighton, who insist on playing it out from the back. Fair play to them against all the Premier League's big boys. Graham Potter will not betray his philosophy, will he? Today, in some huge results, Wolves beating Everton 3-0. The race for 5th heatens up, and I mean, Everton's captain had some choice words to say after the game, Seamus Coleman, about the efforts of the Everton players, mentioning that they've been hiding behind managers for far too long. We'll discuss them. Aston Villa also snatching a vital 3 points against Crystal Palace. The game was just finishing up as we went live, so the table might not be updated. Bear that in mind as we look at the bottom of the Premier League right now.
Ooh.
It is updated. Fair play to the guys in the gallery. Love your work. Norwich, like we said, bottom. Bournemouth and Aston Villa looking like they might follow them down after that Watford reprieve against Newcastle. Everton slipped into the bottom half of the table, where performances like that belong, quite frankly. Let's go to the top half. Yes. Plays out to the complexion of today's tie nicely, doesn't it? Like I said, the home side 1 point behind Arsenal. It was 2-2 the last time these sides met in September. Tottenham throwing away a 2-goal lead. Got a great stat for you. Tottenham have jettisoned 47 points against Arsenal from winning positions, which is, where their taggers bottle jobs comes from. particularly in this fixture. Although the spoils have been shared in recent ties, thanks to people like Harry Kane, and he is in our lineup, and we can see the Tottenham lineup right now for your viewing pleasure at. There we have it. So 3 changes to the side that drew a blank against Bournemouth, with Sanchez, Son and Lucas Moura coming in. A little bit more pace up front, although Son very goal shy of late. He is without one since the break. Harry Kane, of course, has 10 goals in this tie, so Tottenham always stand a chance against Arsenal when he is on the pitch. Arsenal. And Martinez still deputising for the injured Arsenal Leno, and he has 6 clean sheets in 9, and that defence has looked a lot more sturdy since reverting to a back 5, hasn't it? Might lack a little bit of pace in the centre, but Pepe comes back in the lineup up front at the cost of Saka, and Aubameyang has 7 goals in 10 appearances in this fixture, so chasing down Harry Kane's record. Whoa, a lot to get through there, gentlemen. A lot to get through. Glad to see you're still with me. So how are we feeling about this? Let's start with your old side, the home side, Danny. Do you give them much of a chance in this game? And you had a very brave tactical blueprint for them, you were mentioning off camera, which you might like to see incorporated by Joe.
Yeah, well, I think, firstly, I think this game's probably more important for Spurs than Tottenham, in the fact that the Arsenal fans, I think, are starting to be on board with Arteta and what he's doing. And the recent performances have been really good. Whereas the Tottenham fans are, questioning Jose and the way the team are playing. So I think it's more important. It's important. It's a North London derby, don't get me wrong. But in terms of the manager and his likability factor, I think it's more important for Jose. I think the front 3 always give them a chance. I think when you play against the back 3, which what Arsenal are going to do, it looks like, I think it's important that Son and Moura at times leave the wing backs, stay high, stay wide. And give them a question mark in terms of, do they stay 3v3 or do the 2 wing backs drop in and make a 5v3, which would allow Tottenham to dominate midfield? It's a brave tactic, and one that you would normally only use when you feel like you are as strong, if not better, than the opposition. But I think they need to try and make a statement today, Tottenham, because there's a lot of question marks around the manager and the squad, and it's been a poor few weeks. The last couple of games have not been great.
Okay, thank you very much. Slightly on my behalf, I hope that you guys heard that. Joseph, what do you make of Arsenal's lineup and their potential chances in this game then after a much improved period following the break?
Yeah, I heard that absolutely fine, by the way. I don't know about anybody else, but it sounds like Chris is on dial-up here. So I've got about, I think I heard about 50% of that question.
Chris is the problem.
I know. I think I heard about 50% of that question. But looking at the Arsenal lineup, I'm a little bit surprised to see Bukayo Saka dropped, I have to say. I thought Bukayo Saka has been a revelation since the restart, and particularly this season. But nevertheless, it looks like he's going for a slightly different style of front 3 with Pepe on that right-hand side. I think Arsenal fans all want to see a front 3 of Saka on the left, Aubameyang through the middle, and Pepe on the right. But it still hasn't come to fruition yet. And maybe that's down to the fact that Arteta likes to see Aubameyang coming in and penetrating from that left-hand side. And that's where he thinks he can cause problems up against Serge Aurier and Davinson Sanchez, who I don't want to say have been poor, but have certainly underwhelmed under Jose Mourinho, I think it's fair to say. And I think that is probably an area he's going to look to improve on come the summer. But yeah, I think this Arsenal team looks pretty steady at the moment. The centre mids, Xhaka looks kind of reborn, doesn't he, since not having to play in front of Arsenal fans.
Right. Gentlemen, clearly I am the problem here. Clearly I'm in a black hole, so I will try and log in and out. So an absolute nightmare starting this show off, but I'm not totally necessary at this point because Will is going to take over the reins and tell you guys how to get in touch. So hopefully, things will be all good in roughly 30 seconds.
Bye, Chris. This is the chance and opportunity I've always wanted secretly for 2 years. So get in touch at @Football using the hashtag Football Social. Danny, lots of questions flying in for you. One here from Freddie404. He says, both sides have switched managers this season, but which club could be most justified in doing that?
I think they were both justified in making a change to a degree. I think both managers this summer are going to need some help. If they want to compete, they're going to need to spend, both of them, in the summer. In terms of who's hit the ground running, who's progressed the team more, Arteta. I think the improvement in Arsenal has been very, very evident. I mean, the way they set up tactically, you can tell they've worked on it in the week. You were talking about Aubameyang there. I think he's been excellent in his attitude and his application, playing from that left.
Yeah.
I thought he might throw his toys out the pram a little bit, but he's been running back, he's been setting the tone, he's been leading. Maybe the armbands helped him, and I can see Arsenal progressing. But I tell you what is imperative for both clubs: Aubameyang and Kane both wearing Arsenal and Spurs shirts next season, because they cannot replace that quality with where they are at the moment.
Joe, I was watching Sunday Vibes, and obviously you guys were breaking down this game as well. And obviously you mentioned that the attacking-wise, Spurs have got predominantly the same sort of players that they had a couple of years ago. But what's going wrong for them attacking-wise?
Well, look, I think Jose Mourinho would probably admit, if his ego permitted him to, that he is struggling to create a coherent attack. I look at this Tottenham team and I don't understand what he's trying to do. Is he trying to be a pressing side? Is he trying to be a counter-attacking side? Is he trying to be a ball-dominant side that's going to break teams down? I'm not really sure. I think that the personnel in forward areas for Tottenham is very strong. Danny just mentioned Harry Kane there, one of the best strikers in the world. Heung-min Son, last season in particular, proved that he's one of the most frightening attacking players in world football, with his ability to go on the right and left foot. Lucas Moura as well looks very good. They've struggled to replace Eriksen's creative output a little bit, but Lo Celso looks like he's certainly going to be one hell of a player for Tottenham in the future. So I think the personnel are very good, but I'm just not sure what system Jose is trying to play with this Tottenham side. I think a lot of Man United fans will say the same thing about when he was at the club there as well. They had some fantastic personnel, but you never really saw a coherent attacking strategy. So I think that's something that Tottenham are definitely struggling with under Jose Mourinho.
Is that the problem, Danny, as well? Like, I mean, even as a mere simpleton like me, when I watch Spurs, like Joe said, I don't know what they stand for anymore.
Yeah, you mean the identity, the consistency in what they're trying to do. I understand that, but I think when you look at United recently as a good example, you can have the best front players. It doesn't really matter if you've not got midfield players who are A, creative and can see the passes, and B, confident and playing with a bit of swag. People who can look up and open you up at any time. And Tottenham have been playing with a lack of confidence for a while. Now, that's not always the manager's fault. That can be just a momentum thing where the results have not gone your way. Been in lockdown, which is unusual. The amount of time those players have not been able to play together, that could be a reason. But I do think the midfield area for Spurs, although I am a big fan of Winks, I do like Winks, but I think you mentioned Eriksen. I also think when you look over the Tottenham's best couple of seasons, Dembele has not been replaced. He really hasn't. He wasn't someone who opened people up with his passing. But what he could do was get you from back to front with his dribbling and his power with the ball. I think they're a bit predictable in midfield. And I think the front three suffer because of that. But also, as well, you need the freedom and the platform to go and play and express yourself.
We're just seeing a minute silence there for Jack Charlton. Danny, he seemed like an amazing bloke, amazing player. Did you have many interactions with him?
I got to meet him once. Yeah, very warm guy. Always smiling, cracking jokes. He was a legend for Leeds in England, wasn't he? And what he did with Irish football as a manager transformed them and galvanised the nation, really. Reading some of the words that have been written and said about him over the last couple of days has been amazing. You know, people I know well. Robbie Keane put a really lovely post out. He obviously worked with him, and so many people who knew him better than I. I mean, he was an old school type of guy, wasn't he? You know, I posted a picture yesterday where he was stood in his Leeds kit having a fag just before a game. And he'd still go out and be the best player, wouldn't he? But yeah, he was one of the legends and be sadly missed.
Right, we are about to get underway in the North London derby. Will we get Chris Hamill back? And let's get those score predictions in. Joe, I'll start with you. Spurs v Arsenal.
Him
And his dial-up can leave it. Joe, what are you going for score predictions?
I'm going to go 2-1 to the Arsenal. I think the attacking front three of Arsenal are going to cause this troublesome Spurs lineup a lot of problems today.
Danny, what about yourself?
Oh, do you know what? It could be anything this game. I said 2-2 yesterday. I'm open for lots of goals. And I think if Tottenham get a draw, they'll be, I wouldn't say they'll be really happy, but I think they'll settle for it with the recent form.
I go 3-3. It's a running joke that probably isn't really funny anymore, but just have to get it in there in case the bet finally does come off because it's amazing odds. Right, we are underway in a North London derby with no fans, with a presenter who's been thrown into the deep end. And Chris Hamill is about to take his position back. Here he is, Sir Chris of Hamill. Oh, and an early shot.
Oh,
can't hear him. He's not turned his mic on.
I tell you what I have noticed already is that Tottenham have gone 4-4-2. So he's gone Son and Kane up against the back three, which is a good idea. And Moura there coming off the left side. So he's going to play left midfield, Moura, and try and come in off that left side. And Kane's going to have Son up alongside him, which he's done before, hasn't he?
Yeah. You mentioned as well, we were talking a bit off air as well, especially the central midfielders, although maybe technically not the best, Danny, but Spurs seem to have a few more legs in there.
Yeah, well, if you can get Ceballos and Xhaka isolated, Sissoko with his and Sissoko and Lo Celso with their ability to dribble and run past people, I think they could get some joy there. But ultimately, you have to get the ball to do that. If Arsenal are at it and playing with confidence, those two are both good footballers. Xhaka and Ceballos are technically very good, and they can keep the ball and make you run around after them. So it's going to be interesting. I think Tottenham have to press high. They have to set a tempo and try and get after Arsenal. Don't let them settle. But it's difficult when you're up against good players, and they've got good players, Arsenal.
Joe, you mentioned Xhaka's renaissance. I think we were doing a football social together a few months ago when he got booed off the pitch and it seemed like his career was over. But what a renaissance.
Yeah, fair play to him, you know. He's often spoken about, isn't he, by Mikel Arteta and even by Unai Emery before him, as a bit of a leader in this Arsenal dressing room. And I think he obviously got a hammer in from the Arsenal fans, and he's proved some really, really strong mentality to turn it around and say, you know what, I'm not going to give up this shirt as easily as that. I'm going to come back. I'm going to prove you wrong. And he's certainly been improved in the second half of the season. Now, do I think he's the long-term solution in central midfield for Arsenal? Probably not. But I think you've got to say well done to Granit Xhaka for knuckling down, because a lot of other players would have totally thrown the towel in and refused to play.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I've hammered him a bit in the past. Chris, you back with us?
Thank you, Danny. The guest reintroducing me to the show. What a time to be alive. Hopefully I won't have to contact you lot on my Morse code now, and you can hear me, you know, like this instead of a series of beeps. Apparently I'm in a black hole, but no, you guys carry on. I'll ease myself in after. Oh.
Well, we were just talking about A, the formation, and then B, Xhaka, and having a little bit of a renaissance. And I think he has done well, because I've criticised him a lot. I always felt for him playing in a holding role, because he's not athletic enough to play that role, especially on his own. So he was always going to get exposed, because he can't really run. He's a technician. He's a footballer. He's a passer. He can score when he gets outside the box. He needs to play alongside legs. Got to have legs alongside Xhaka. You can't expect him to be the defensive midfielder, because he's always going to be late in tackles. He's going to get yellows and reds, and he's going to look a poor player. But I do think he deserves credit. I mean, he's got himself back in the team, and he's just gotten about his business, like, you know, under the radar, not making noises. I like that.
Lovely. What about the efforts of that man, Kieran Tierney, who impressed against Leicester? How big a factor do you think he's played in Arsenal's sort of resurgence after the lockdown, Danny?
It took him a while, understandably. Been out a while. His early games, he was struggling a little bit, which is understandable, as I said. But he's a talent. He loves to get forward. it's a bit hard for him being compared to Robertson all the time, which he's not up to his level yet. But he's going to learn, isn't he? He's only been in the Premier League 5 minutes. Give him a chance to establish himself. But he's got that energy and that willingness to get forward, and he's tenacious. I like him. He's a good player.
Lovely. Okay, 5 minutes in. I've only been here 30 seconds. I'm already gripped, Will. How are people gripped in the comments? Are they getting in touch with us?
Lots of people getting in touch. Yeah, very spicy start for no crowd North London derby. Danny, people already bringing us to the attention of Serge Aurier. Are you having him as a right back, especially defensively?
I think he's got some really, really good attributes. Strong, quick. Not at times he's good going forward. He's got good energy, fitness, but he does switch off. He does give you the chance, and he does make some rash tackles. I don't think he's the long-term answer. I think most Tottenham fans would probably have preferred Trippier to stay, but I'm not on the bandwagon of hammering him and saying he's not worthy, because he's had some really good games. But he does switch off. The thing is with defenders these days, people look at what they do going forward more than they do defensively. And I think you want your fullbacks to be solid defensively and not give away chances. And he's given away probably too many for Spurs fans like him.
Joe, what about you? You know the brightest sparks across European football. What, if any, right back? Oh, see you later, Chris. Thanks for having us. Could we look to bring in?
He's gone again. I do kind of agree with Danny. I do kind of agree with Danny.
And we'll see you in a bit.
Just relax. Come back about 60 minutes in when the score's 3-0. I think Serge Aurier certainly has some good attributes. I think he is too rash for a Jose Mourinho system, though. I think Jose Mourinho likes extreme discipline amongst his back four and just doesn't stand for players that want to go off and do their own thing and aren't positionally sound. So in the long term, he's not going to be Jose Mourinho's right back, I don't think. But look, I think there's bigger issues at Tottenham Hotspur than Serge Aurier in the last 6 months, to be totally honest with
you. Another one that sort of falls into that category as well, then, who's not at the game time, Danny, is Ndombele. As a player, has he been unfairly treated?
By who? By the manager or the fans?
Yeah, I think by Jose particularly. He seems to have given him a rough ride since he's come in.
I think it's hard to judge when I'm not seeing him training, his attitude and his application. I think the problem he's got is he's an attacking midfielder. He's not a defensive midfielder. He doesn't spot danger. Even when I watched him before he came here, he was a creative player. He can go back. He's got lovely manipulation of the ball, skills, can score a goal, open you up with a pass. But he's another one. If you expect him to play central midfield and track runners and spot danger, he's not going to do it. Or he doesn't want to do it. So, did Tottenham really... Oh, yeah, good defending, Alderweireld. I think he's got the potential to make an impact in the Premier League at Tottenham, but you're going to have to have players around him who can make him shine. But he prefers the so. You've got Dele Alli to come back in. You can't play them all. It's a difficult one. He might leave in the summer. It depends if there's any takers. They've spent a lot of money on him. He's probably earning a good wage, to be fair.
Joe, you were mentioning it as well. Give Sunday Vibes another plug again. Out for you, who has got the better squad at the moment, Arsenal or Spurs as a whole?
God, it's a very, very tough one.
That's what I'm here for, mate. Tough questions, sir.
Do you know what?
Forget Hamill.
Do you know what?
Tough questions.
I actually think Tottenham have the better individuals within their squad, but I think there's certain areas of the team that they're really struggling with, and I think that as a squad, it's aging pretty worryingly. Whereas Arsenal, I think, maybe have one or two stars. You know, your Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, so it's like Bukayo Saka could be, but overall, it feels a little bit light. So I think Tottenham have the better squad. But having said that, I think Arteta has a more coherent team right now. To me, it feels like Tottenham, as I said earlier, don't know what they're trying to be. Whereas I think Arteta has actually brought quite a solid identity with him, which I wasn't sure he was going to be able to do at Arsenal in a similar sort of way to how Ollie's done at United, actually. And you can see what they're trying to be with Arsenal. And I think with the right additions, I'd be pretty excited if I was an Arsenal fan under Arteta. I think they've got maybe a centre-back, a centre-mid away from being a pretty decent side. Keeping on with Aubameyang as well is vital, like Danny said, by the way.
Yeah. What about you, Danny?
I think offensively they're both good. I think they both need to get a solid platform and base again, which is difficult because
it's a chance.
I tell you what, changing the subject quickly. Yeah, this goalkeeper, he's done well since he's come in, hasn't he? He's done really well.
Oh, been brilliant, hasn't he? Martinez.
That was a good ball. Yeah, Martinez done really, really well. Most difficult to not play for a long time and then come into a pressurised environment. I've seen him have a couple of really good games. That was a good run off the back of Luiz, won it from Kane. He just couldn't quite get the loft over the keeper. But they've started well, Tottenham. They look dangerous.
Yeah.
You mentioned the keeper there as well.
Question. Sorry. Just finish off with the question. Apologies. The offensive aspect of both teams is good, but it can only get better offensively for both when the foundations are good. And I think both could probably do with centre half. Tottenham midfield, maybe one. As I said, they've never replaced. They could both do with Moussa Dembele 3 years ago.
Yeah.
How's that? Simple as that.
Getting back in. Joe, we have seen a few signs with Arsenal defensively that they are getting better, especially under Arteta, haven't we?
Yeah, and do you know what? I think the switch to the back three has really helped. I think the switch to the back three has definitely helped him out in that respect. Yeah. But you have to also give him some plaudits for the improvement, I think, in Mustafi. I certainly think he's got a lot better under Arteta. Again, I don't think he's maybe a player that Arsenal are going to look to stick with in the long term. I think that'll probably be William Saliba who's coming in. But I think he's definitely made strides forward. And Kieran Tierney, since coming back from the restart and his injury, has helped shore that back line up. So I think the back three has certainly helped Arteta. But again, so is the midfield. I think, like Danny said, the Arsenal central midfield so far has just provided a more solid foundation than Tottenham's central midfield. And hats off to Xhaka for pulling that role together, because 6 months ago I think we would have said that he was going to leave in January, to be honest with you.
When you play any system, centre halves as a 2 or a 3, as long as your midfield in front of you, they don't have to be the most athletic in the world. They have to be clever and positionally clever. So you stay as a unit. What was happening before under Emery is that whoever played in a back 4 or a back 3 was getting exposed because the midfield was given license to play how the hell they want. Now, Xhaka and Ceballos, even though they can't run, they sit in now and they play the role so they can shuffle across, they can fill holes. Yes, they'll get exposed against the best teams in terms of their athleticism.
Go.
Yeah, done really well.
Aubameyang, what a chance. What a chance that is for Aubameyang.
Good chance.
Great play by Bellerin, isn't it? It's great play by Bellerin in that right-back slot. Harry Winks here, just showing what Danny was talking about. Slight weakness, a bit weak in that tackle, and that's a great chance, man. He'd be disappointed with that.
It was actually Ben Davies' lack of pace. It's a problem for Tottenham in that left-back area when he plays. He's a lovely footballer, but he's not quick, and Bellerin's rapid. So I think they'll try and expose that. Winks was actually trying to cover him, to be fair.
Yeah.
Here he is.
He's back.
Hello, gentlemen. I'm being told that I'm on my third and final strike. My internet costing me some valuable downtime here with Danny Murphy. So we'll see how it here on in. But I think the neighbours stealing it, Danny.
You think what? Sorry.
He's on the rocks.
Oh dear, am I disconnecting again?
No.
It's a chance.
He's in it.
Great tackle.
Right, we'll see how it goes. I might have to duck out, but I've been watching Will, standing for me, and quite frankly, he's ready to replace me at this point.
Well, to be honest, he should be getting your fee for this show, shouldn't he? He should be on double bubble.
Cheers, Danny. I need an agent.
If only. Right.
No, we
Well,
just we
we'll
were
see.
talking about the systems and the possible recruitments for next season, and obviously they both need to improve defensively. That's been a problem, but I've certainly seen an improvement with Arsenal. Is what we were talking about.
That's good play by Sparks.
Okay,
That's
great
good
stuff. I've just received, a little bit of mercy from the guys behind the scenes. They're telling me to bring in a price boost to give me something to do, something to say. Let's have it on screen right now. It's Kane to score first. It was 9-2. It's now 11-2. Odds accurate at the time of recording, and of course are subject to change. Team play along. That could be my first and final price boost. If my internet decides to kick out again. So why don't we get a price boost for my internet surviving until half time? That might be it. Get half decent odds on that.
That's about even. I reckon I'm absolutely paid out.
Oh, Will, put me out my misery, mate. Give us a question from social.
You want to turn those other pages you've been looking at on your laptop off? That might help.
Yes, let's go with this one from Jake and Danny. We'll start with you. Guendouzi and Ozil, do you think they'll be Arsenal players next season?
I don't think Ozil will. I think Guendouzi's got a chance because he's a super talent. He's a really good creative footballer who plays with courage, likes to get on the ball, make things happen. I know he's been penalised for a bit of ill discipline. But I think with somebody that young, Arteta will be more than willing to give him another opportunity. I'd be surprised if he didn't with the talent he's got. But I can't see Ozil being there. He's got to have a desire to play some football. It gets to a point where forget contracts and money. If you're as wealthy as him and had the career he's had, he's going to want to enjoy his football between now and the end of the season. The end of his career. Oof. What a goal!
Like a boom! I'm talking big deflections here. Big deflections, surely. Mistake. Big old. Yeah.
Okay, we'll judge all the deflection, but we'll see in just a second. But that's only his 9th goal out of the season. He hasn't scored in his last 9 Premier League starts. So this would be one.
Watch that
for the season.
Serge Aurier, how's your touch, son?
I
think a deflection.
No.
Joe, take us through that absolute rasper because you're insisting he got a deflection.
Well, Serge Aurier is an absolute... it's not. It's just an unreal strike. It's just an unbelievable strike. But yeah, Serge Aurier in the build-up to that with an absolute whiffer of a touch and then an even worse attempt at a tackle. I don't know what Jose Mourinho will be thinking about that. But what a strike by Lacazette. Question mark's been asked as to why he's in the team and Bukayo Saka isn't pre-game. Well, he's just shut a hell of a lot of Arsenal fans up with that. That is an unbelievable effort.
Well, we've just seen the worst of Aurier there. We were talking about, we jinxed him, didn't we? It's just that it's not a difficult technique as well. It's lack of concentration. It's really, really poor. And then actually, to be fair, he tried to make up for it, but he should have brought him down, take the yellow. He didn't. Well, what a strike from Lacazette. I've actually been surprised Lacazette. I know Nketiah's done really well, I'm a fan. But I'm surprised he hasn't used Lacazette more because he's a really experienced, talented striker.
So you're not quite buying into the opinion of Arsenal fans that he needs to be jettisoned as soon as possible. Do you think there's still hope for Lacazette at Arsenal?
I think you need as much quality in the squad as you can, and if you've already got it there, keep it happy and keep it there. Build on it. Don't. You're going to find it really hard in Arsenal's predicament at the moment to replace Aubameyang, Lacazette, players of that quality without.
Oh my God! What's he done? What's he done?
Oh my
God! Who is that?
It's coming in, baby.
Well, what a start!
We have here.
Lacazette's breaking his duck. Son's breaking his lockdown duck. I'm not quite sure what happened in the building.
David Luiz, mate.
Kolasinac
and David Luiz
is away.
Oh my God! What are these two doing at the back here?
It's not Luiz's fault.
Oh dear.
Kolasinac.
Yeah.
Kolasinac. Oh no.
Sloppy again.
You won't want to watch that again.
Right foot. Oh, that's poor.
finish from Sonny.
Great finish. Lovely finish. Left foot going away from the keeper, dink.
What a game.
Well, I think when Son plays centrally and he doesn't have to make those big long runs back to try and defend when he's playing wide, his energy's better, so he's more accomplished in front of goal. But that was a super finish on his weak foot.
Yeah.
That 3-3's looking all right.
Yeah, Will, that one's coming in.
2 years I've been doing this. Yeah, first time I not put money on it though, so I'm sweating a little bit.
My 2-2's looking all right as well.
Yeah, it is. Desmond. Yeah. Could be on for it here.
Questions coming in thick and fast, Danny. Oh, go on, Chris, after you, sir.
No, please. The less from me, the better, mate, at this moment in time.
Okay, one here from Nick Harris. Joe, I'll start with you. How disastrous would it be for either team to miss out on any sort of European football next season?
Not disastrous at all. Sorry, did you ask me that? I do apologise. I was watching the game at the same time.
No, you go, Danny.
Go on, Danny.
People are here to see you, not me. Go on, Danny.
I don't think it's that disastrous at all. In terms of both clubs want to be Champions League clubs. I think that in a rebuild situation, the ability or the capability to work with your squad and your players for long periods before each game and plan and make sure the best players are fit and not have to travel all around Europe on Thursday nights, etc., is going to be beneficial to both teams. I'm not sure, although they won't say it, either manager would be that disappointed missing out on Europa League.
Joe, talk me through that ping pong in the box.
Yeah, I mean, the defensively for both sides just look very, very mediocre. But we've already spoken enough about that, haven't we? I mean, both of the teams giving up opportunities just through silly mistakes at the moment. Really, well, obviously, Aurier's gifted a goal to Arsenal, and Kolasinac has gifted a goal to Tottenham. So, not particularly pretty start at the back, but nevertheless, teams are taking their chances well, so fingers crossed. But yeah, just to go back to the question about European football, I agree with Danny, I don't think it matters, maybe in a footballing sense, but I do wonder whether it's going to hit these teams financially, to be honest with you. Tottenham, obviously, paying off the stadium. I think they've been in the Champions League every year since 2015, and it's, £50 million a season if you're in the Champions League, and that's no shortfall for a team that have been shy of spending money in the past. And Arsenal, the same, really. Arsenal, I'm not sure how much budget they're going to have to play with. Every single summer, it seems like they've got no money. So I think in a footballing sense, they won't care about missing out on European football, but I reckon the boardrooms might be a bit worried, particularly after COVID-19.
Well, not so much with Europa League, because the finances for Europa League really aren't substantial enough unless you get to the latter stages. Yeah. And even then, they're nothing like Champions League. I think the fact they're missing out on Champions League, that affects the budget. But Europa League, not so much. The budget, it's so small in comparison to what they're getting from the TV money.
Yeah,
Danny, just on your career, obviously you've had different sides of the coin with like having a European football experience with Spurs and Liverpool. But then when you were at Fulham, obviously that amazing run, did it just mean so much more for a Fulham to be in that tournament?
Yes. In terms of the...
Offside. Miles off.
Carry on, Danny.
Nobody expects you to do it when you're at a lesser club, so it becomes a bigger deal. When you're at Liverpool, you're expected to be there, so the pressure's different. When you're at Fulham, it would have been, historical thing. It would have been something that had been remembered forever. I have to say that the Fulham fans now I still speak to and bump into because I live in Surrey. They still talk about that journey as being one of the best times of theirs, as a fan, and the enjoyment they got from it. There's the Lacazette strike, what a goal! But the actual loss on the night in the final probably hurt me more than anything else in my career because of what you just said. How big it would have been for little old Fulham to do that.
Was that as well, that momentum building across the tournament as well? Because obviously at the start it's not to be expected, but then you start dare to dream, especially with that result against Juventus.
It just carried, yeah. You know, when you just start thinking, hold on, we've got half a chance here. I mean, we got out the group stages on the last day of the away at Basel, and they hadn't lost there for a couple of years, so that was a tough one. We beat them. And lads were like, do you know what? We could do all right in this competition. Then we drew Shakhtar, and everyone went, oh, maybe not. They had. I don't know if you remember that Shakhtar side. They'd already won it the year before. They had Fernandinho, Willian, Douglas Costa, Gadsden.
Wow.
They had
Dario Serna right back.
Yeah. Oh, he got me sent off.
Football legend Tomlinson.
Yeah, Dario Serna.
Yeah. I won't
Best mate
say
Daniel.
the word. I think he's a good player, but he's a tool. No, he stitched me right up. He did. But more fool me. I got sent off in the second leg. He wound me up, and I gave him a little. It was one of them token gesture kickouts, like a bit like Beckham got sent off in the World Cup. Something over nothing, and then he stitched me up and moaned to the ref and linesman and God knows, just trying to get me sent off. But they were a hell of a side. But you know, we built momentum then, and it was an amazing run, absolutely amazing run.
Right. Danny, I'll delve more into that in half time. Tomlinson, 25 minutes, had the obligatory drinks break. What do you make of that?
Well, the drinks break, absolute nonsense. But in the first 25 minutes, I think it's been all right football from both sides. You know, it's been as we expected. North London derby is usually very entertaining because both sides have decent, terrible defence. So I think it's been fairly run-of-the-mill so far, but Mourinho won't be happy with how his team are defending, and I'm sure Arteta will probably be fairly raging about Kolasinac as well, because there's just two stupid mistakes to gift each side a goal.
Right, gentlemen, at this point, I might as well be a cardboard cutout. But we're going to soldier on until half-time, and if you still can't pick me up then, I'm going to find a very big hill, and I'm going to sit on it with my laptop. Ash, thank you for taking over. So, some great questions from Will. I wanted to just continue with a subject to you on Fulham, Danny. What made that Roy Hodgson team so functional? How did you consistently overperform under Roy Hodgson in that period?
A couple of things. One was his coaching, the way he set us up. It was perfect for the personnel we had. He was a great communicator and a really good coach. And we had he made some really good signings just after he kept us up. Brought in the likes of Zoltan Gira, Mark Schwarzer, Andy Johnson, Bobby Zamora, Damien Duff. Experienced players. I mean, a lot of people questioned it because we had an old group. But we set up perfectly for the players we had, and we believed in him, and he believed in us. And it just grew. We knew what we were doing. We were very, very comfortable with the way we were set up tactically. And most of our players had been there and done it in terms of the Premier League. So we ended up finishing 7th, which was incredible for us as a club. But Roy was top drawer. You know, he's not the most adventurous coach. Yes, we know that, and I know he struggled a little bit with England and stuff. But I've got the utmost respect for him. He saved us. He really did.
Yeah, he was obviously at big clubs before, like you mentioned, Inter Milan, and he went on to manage England. Did you ever get the impression it wouldn't work for him at Liverpool because of the way he set up his sides, or did you think that was the right move for him at the time with Mark Hughes coming into Fulham?
Well, Liverpool asked me about him before they took him there, and I could only be honest and tell them how I was complimentary because he deserved it. I think Stevie got injured; he was out for 8 weeks. Torres had decided he wanted to go. He was given no funds. He had Kenny sitting behind him in the stand, who the fans wanted to have the job anyway. Of course, King Kenny. So. Could he have grown that team over time and been more adventurous and play on the front foot more? I think so. He's an intelligent coach, intelligent man. But he never got the opportunity because he didn't have the players and the team to build. But I think I think he has been used to over the years being the underdog. And it's hard to shift that mentality when you go to Liverpool or you're the coach of England to then go, right, we're going to go after these teams and play on the front foot. It wasn't really natural to him, but I think he could have adapted at Liverpool over time, but he didn't get the opportunity, and rightly so, because the results were bad. But I did feel for him at England. I thought the debacle against Iceland was, I don't care who says what, the players have to take responsibility for not winning that game. The mistake from Joe Hart, the level of the performance from some of the players. You don't need a manager. You don't need a manager to set you up. You can play any formation against a team of such less quality. The only reason you don't win is if you don't apply yourself properly, or you bottle it. And they did a bit of both.
Fascinating insight there from Danny, and of course we'll be fielding your questions to him and progresses. So make sure you get them in the comments below or at us on Twitter. Let's bring it back to the game just for a couple of minutes. Joe, you sound like you've been observing it closely. What just happened, mate?
Ben Davies has just released an absolute thunderbolt from 35 yards on that left peg. I've never seen him score a goal, I don't think. That is as pure as a strike as you'll see. What an effort.
Did he get a finger? Did he get any fingers on this?
Oh, he does. Saves it. Unreal by Emi Martinez. Saves it. Fingertips. We're talking about how good Emi Martinez has been for Bernd Leno, and what a save that is. He's just proved to Arteta, I'm sure, that value he can add to this side, because I think since deputising for Bernd Leno, he hasn't put a finger wrong. He's been one of Arsenal's best players. Absolutely brilliant. Hats off to him.
I love that. He hasn't put a finger wrong rather than a foot wrong. I love it.
Yeah, I
know. He's Martinez brilliantly. He looks hell of a keeper, doesn't he? Hell of a keeper.
Yeah, he does.
Strange one as well, because he didn't exactly enjoy his the loan spells that he's had out of the club. I'm not sure if you much of him in the Championship, Will. But at 27, it is probably time he made an impression.
I think he was down at. Was he down at? I swear John O'Shea was mentioning when we had him on. He was down at Reading, wasn't he? And he said he was a good prospect.
He was at Reading, and Reading fans really, really love him. They said Alex Emery, who we obviously work with, he was saying how good Emi Martinez is, and he's surprised that he hasn't been playing for a Premier League club.
Just on Ceballos there. That's why he's in the team, by the way. Did you see that pass to Pepe?
Yeah.
Breaking the lines. He's casual. He's looking. Bang. Straight through the lines. Pepe's in on the back four. That's what he can do. He's a footballer. He might not have the legs, but he sees the passes. This is a really open game, you know. I'm really surprised. Talking just earlier about what type of game we expect. I haven't seen too many North London derbies this open and this many chances.
Yeah. Danny, do you think it takes longer to appreciate a player like Ceballos? I recall Phil Thompson saying about you that you were one of the most tactically astute players at Liverpool, and fans didn't necessarily give you the credit for that. Do you see a bit of Ceballos, someone that's got the ability to manage games for Arsenal?
Yeah, I think some players make an impression more quickly than others, depending on their style or the way they play or the way they run. And what a White's coach said to me once, that you're either a grower or a shower. And, if I'm a grower, and you can laugh.
We love a bit of honesty on this show, Danny, mate.
Well, the evidence is, on a serious note, the way I played, it would grow on supporters rather, because I'm not that dynamic. Whereas if you think of someone, I'll give you an example. When Andy Johnson came to Fulham, I don't see much of Andy Johnson at Palace and Fulham, but he was electric. He had amazing energy and he was super quick, ran about, worked hard, didn't stop. Fans loved him after 20 minutes and loved him the whole time he was in his Fulham shirt. And rightly so. You know, Robbie Savage was another one who took the eye because of running about, dynamic, non-stop. Whereas some players, Ceballos or someone like myself, you really only start noticing them maybe when they're not there. And over time, fans see you and admire you a bit more and see what you give for the team. And that's where the saying grower and shower comes from.
Michael Carrick-esque that. Michael Carrick was a
He's a
definite
grower.
But
Definite.
it's just been shown a yellow card, and that is becoming habitual, isn't it? Sergio Aurier picking up a booking. Tottenham fans will be on tenterhooks for the rest of this game, and no doubt Arsenal will be targeting that right-hand side now. Free kick in a very, very with the Spanish Danny Murphy. Tobias will be christened from here on in, standing over it. So let's see how that goes. We'll take a question after this free kick, but for now, let's see what happens. Let's stay with it.
That's awful.
It's gone straight out. Well, perfect time to come over to you then for a question.
Yes, one, I'll start with you, Danny. Harry Kane, will he be in a Spurs shirt next season?
Yes, I think he'll give it another year, yeah. I do. Very simple.
Is that... Yeah? Do you not think he'd be lured away by the... I mean, is a Madrid a realistic shout, or am I just pulling that out of my behind?
Never say never with any player because of what clubs are prepared to do to get what they want. But I think Jose's come in. I think he'll get money. I think Harry Kane will be thinking about the Euros, staying settled. And what you want to get back, playing every week, banging in goals and going to the Euros flying. And if he does that, and Tottenham are poor next season, he can go into the Euros, probably believe in himself. He's got great belief in himself. Maybe win the Golden Boot there and have the pick of any club he wants. I think his love for the club won't allow him to go yet. And actually, I've made that right. They've given him the opportunity. Yes, he's done brilliantly, but I think it's better for a player to leave when the club's not in a world of trouble. Maybe leave when they've actually done all right and they're in a decent place. I don't think he's the type of lad to leave them high and dry. But as I said, if someone comes in with a phenomenal amount of money and offers him the earth, maybe it might be one of those you can't refuse. You don't know.
So how much do we think is a fair price for Harry Kane right now? We've spoke about how he's sort of trailed off somewhat. Still Tottenham's top goal scorer this season. Obviously still very capable, has excelled in an England shirt in this calendar year. But do you think the sort of window of opportunity for him to move to Madrid for, say, 150 is over, Danny?
No. I don't think it's over. Nothing would surprise me. Some clubs have the capability of spending any amount of money they want if they can get the player they want. I think United would pay 100 million for him. I think 100 plus, 120. I don't know. Madrid might. I'm not sure. But I think ultimately it's about would he suit the team he goes to. I couldn't see Harry Kane in a Barcelona team. They play a bit differently than he's great with the link-up, he is, and he'd score goals anywhere in the world. But I think they'll go for a different type if Barca were looking to replace Suarez, for example. But I could see him in a Real Madrid or a United shirt, yeah.
Nice. Obviously, he's been perpetually linked with Manchester United. I think that might be over, particularly with the club Jadon Sancho. Would you be happy to pass on him to move for the young Borussia player?
Well, I think United fans would love to see Harry Kane in a United shirt, obviously, given his quality going forward and goal-scoring ability, which is something United have at times missed. But I don't think Man United are gonna sign Harry Kane now. I think to get him out of Tottenham Hotspur, especially as a Premier League club, I think you could probably add another 30 million on top of whatever Real Madrid would pay for him, because Tottenham just don't want to sell to a direct rival, and especially a player of Harry Kane's quality. And I don't think United are going to pay 150 odd million for Harry Kane when there's obvious areas of the squad that need improvement more so than a striker. United's front three at the moment looks pretty tasty. I think it's been involved in 55 plus goals. So I think that they'll be looking to improve probably centre half. Maybe centre mid as well.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of top clubs that are sort of sorted for number 9 at the moment, isn't there? Which was touted as his most likely destination in times gone by. But of course, they have spent big on the likes of Eden Hazard and Luka Jovic, but they're trying to move the latter on. So never say never, like Danny says. Well, what do you think, mate, before we move on to another comment? Harry Kane's future at the club?
For me, it's like a football manager signing. When I start a football manager game, if I know I'm going to be playing for 3 years, so I would buy Harry Kane. But for Man United,
Sorry, mate, just going to interject there because Aubameyang has nearly wrapped in a free kick from 25 yards, narrowly going past Hugo Lloris and the post. What an effort that was.
Keeper's side.
From the Gabonese.
That goes in. It's a keeping horror.
I think he's got that covered, hasn't he? But a tense moment nonetheless for Spurs fans. What were you saying there? Sorry.
Just a load of rubbish, to be honest. If I was on Football Manager, I'd make the signing. But as compared to United, they've been so exciting to watch as a neutral for the last couple of weeks. And you think of all that youth talent, and Ollie's done that really well, hasn't he? To get the fans off his little back again, teasing them with, here's a bit of Greenwood, here's what you could have. So I think they'd want to say, let's keep this and keep 150 million in the bank.
Yeah, I'd be disappointed if it came at the expense of minutes for Mason Greenwood, who looks like one of the exceptional young talents at the moment. Danny, through really young. Obviously, you sort of, Crew got promoted, then you left for Liverpool. It took you a little while to bed into the Liverpool side, went back out on loan again. How tough was that adjustment as a youngster, both in terms of performance and expectation?
Really tough, because I've been very lucky in my career that every step of the way had gone well. And when I went to Liverpool, I just expected it to happen and forgot that I was in the Premier League at one of the best clubs in the world with loads of brilliant players. And I've got to work a bit harder. And nobody gives you a handbook. Decent strike there from Pepe. Nobody gives you a handbook. The other thing is, as well, is that even with the talent, you don't understand the change in your life off the pitch that comes. All of a sudden, I'm living in Chester, going out in the same place with my same mates. Well, everyone knows you, you're famous, and you got a few quid. So after, first 4, 5, 6 months, you start thinking you're the man. You start thinking you've made it. You start thinking you're the dog's dinner. It's you don't really have too many people around you who want to ground you. It's better now. It's a lot better now. The support network's a lot better from the clubs. Players' liaison officers, senior pros are more aware of young players, and senior players are better behaved than senior players were when I was a kid. It was tough. And you need some guidance, you need a bit of luck. I had Houllier. He grabbed me by the neck, really. Gave me a few home truths, dangled a carrot, and I did the rest. I worked damn hard to better myself and improve my fitness, and moved out of the area I was from. Knuckled down, worked hard, did everything he asked of me. Went back on loan to Crew, worked hard, come back, worked hard again. Changed positions. Moved, as I said, look, when I moved out of the sticks into the sticks a little bit, and everything just went forward then. But you need some guidance, I don't care who you are, unless you're a genius, and it just all... There's a few geniuses out there, we've seen them, Rooney, Gerrard, Owen, that type. But even them lads have had some guidance along the way. You think of Steve Highway at Liverpool, looking after Stevie and Michael, and I was fortunate that I got some.
Tottenham on the attack there, and it's gone out for Lucas, more reflected by Mustafi. Was there a specific moment the penny dropped for you then as a youngster, or was it just your attitude changing over a longer period of time?
It was probably when I got back from loan and Crew, and went back pre-season. That was the start of my third season at Liverpool. And I went back early. Houllier had said to me, look, I'm going to give you a chance. You've got to, you come back early and you've got to work hard. Now I'll get you in the team. That's when I thought, that's when I'm going to give it I've got to give this everything. And I changed my whole outlook that summer. I changed my whole view on the way I was looking at it. I changed it all. I've changed where I live, changed the people I was around to a degree. That was when the penny dropped. And I don't know whether it was just him or a maturity thing, or I'm not too sure. But I was glad I did. Put it that way. Really glad I did.
Yeah. And who do you think will be more glad to get to half time with the score on, Joe?
Do you know what? I think both managers probably need the break right now. I think Nicolas Pepe struggled a little bit, just to be honest with you, comparatively to Bukayo Saka. A little bit surprised that Bukayo Saka didn't start this game. But I think both managers need half-time, a little reset. I think Tottenham started the half the better, but Arsenal have grown into the game nicely. It's just too open, though. I'm sure both managers will want to close this game off because it just feels like the midfields are getting so easily bypassed and the fullbacks are just running at each other at this stage. That's a foul. Deary me, Michael Oliver, have a word.
I'll tell you what,
I think both managers need half-time.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you. The situation with Aurier, I think he'll bring him off half-time. I think he'll bring him off.
Well do.
The card for Lacazette as well, then, just to balance the books.
I think where does he turn in that right-back slot? Because obviously Eric Dyer's banned. Serge Aurier, there's a definite dearth behind him. I'm not sure. Is Tanganga on the bench? I'm not too sure, to be fair. Wouldn't be the worst option, would he? He's not a natural right back.
He is on the bench, yeah.
Tanganga then maybe.
Better having 11 on the pitch in a game like this. It's very open. I don't think any manager will try and shut up shop. No point now. Both have had chances. You've just got, if you try and change the momentum of your team when they're going forward and playing with some confidence, you lose the lads sometimes. You can tweak it, but you don't want to change the philosophy of trying to win the game. The lads would be like, "Oh, come on," because they both feel like they can win it at this point.
What have you made of Lo Celso, Danny? Obviously, he came in to sort of replace the output of Christian Eriksen. He's very well of being a creative, dynamic midfield moment. It's just be used in a very sort of defensive capacity.
He's a bit different than Eriksen, but he's more of a dribbler. I don't think he's up to Eriksen. I don't think he's as good as Eriksen. I'm not sure he'll ever be as good as Eriksen. I say that because what Eriksen had for me on either foot was the ability, even when he wasn't playing well, to open you up on a sixpence. And he scores goals. Lo Celso will grow in terms of his confidence and maturity, and he'll score some goals because he's got a lovely left foot, but he's not got the talent Eriksen's got for me.
Yeah, to replace
lovely.
Christian Eriksen, who of course absolutely fire combination with Dele Alli and Harry Kane. Seen another booking in this game, starting to tot up now, aren't they? That is Ben Davies on Nicolas Pepe. Decent foul there out on the halfway line.
Not if he's got booked for it, because that's both fullbacks booked before half-time if you're a Tottenham fan. So I'm pretty sure Jose won't be too happy to see both his fullbacks booked, and obviously doesn't trust the likes of Ryan Sessegnon, does he? Which has been an interesting point, I think, for Tottenham fans. It's Ryan Sessegnon, £30 million signing, can't get a minute in the game. But great. That was a really enjoyable first half, man. That was a really open game, end-to-end stuff. Maybe a little bit of a lack of quality, but overall, that was a fun watch, I think, from the neutral's perspective.
You must be a good player, by the way.
Me?
Yeah, you said there was a lack of quality. There was some great quality there.
Do you think? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
We've seen some wonderful strikes, haven't we? And we've seen some great attacking play. I know what you mean. You're talking about defensively, of course. I know that.
Yeah.
But I think we've seen some. I mean, the Lacazette goal was unbelievable. Great goal.
Yeah, fantastic strike. But the defending from both sides left a lot to be desired, I think.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I agree.
Also, my internet connection has a lot left to be desired as well. So I'm absolutely gagging to make it to half time so I can have a tweak with these settings. Will, one more question then before we go to Truth or Dare with Aubameyang and Adam Smith.
Yeah, one for you, Danny. We mentioned a lot about this traditional top six as well. But out of the teams that are sort of fighting for it, who do you think is best placed to sort of break that mould?
You mean to get into the top 6?
Yes, yeah, but more on like a permanent basis.
I think, do you know what? It's a very difficult question simply because we need, depending on what they do in the summer, I'd need to see Arsenal invest and Tottenham to really push on. I actually think that it's going to be really, really tough for anybody next season to break United, Liverpool, City and Chelsea because they're all going to have a good go. I think the top 4 could be all by itself next season. And 5th and 6th is going to be Leicester, Wolves, Tottenham, Arsenal. I can't see any of those 4 I just mentioned getting anywhere near the top 4 next season. Just a view.
Fascinating. It's a topic we'll pick up back on after the half commences. Let's take it to Adam Smith then and Aubameyang with truth or dare.
This is true or false with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Now, what we did with this, we asked you guys at home to send your questions for Pierre. So many questions came in on social media that the hashtag AskAlba was trending on Twitter. Pierre, we've had thousands and thousands of questions. Now, what we want you to do is, if the answer is true, please show us the black side of the paddle. If the answer is false, please show us the red side. So do you understand?
Yes, all good.
Okay.
True or false, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's favourite footballer as a kid was Ronaldinho?
False. Okay, so who was it?
Ronaldo. R9.
Yes.
I
mean, what a player R9 was. Where do you think he ranks for you in terms of the greatest of all time?
He's the best. For me, he's the best. I think he changed the game really for a striker. I mean, he was powerful, really quick with the feet. He was technical. He had skills. So yeah, he had everything.
True or false, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang took the number 14 because he wanted to follow in Thierry Henry's footsteps?
True. Okay, tell us about that.
First of all, I wanted the number 7 because I like it. But Mkhitaryan had this number, so the 14 was free. And I knew that Thierry Henry had this number in the past, and that's why he was an amazing player. It's a legend at the club, so yes.
a legend of the club indeed. And of course, when we're talking about Thierry Henry, the one thing I have to mention is when we talk about great Arsenal strikers is you recently became the fastest Arsenal player in Premier League history to get to 50 goals. Now, when you consider some of the strikers Arsenal have had in the Premier League, Ian Wright, Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, that is some achievement. How proud are you of that?
Really, really proud. really proud because when I came here to England, it was a challenge for me to always be a top scorer, and yes, this is what is happening at the moment, and I try my best to always score goals for the team, and yeah, I'm really proud.
True or false, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has the best Instagram game in the Arsenal squad?
True.
Okay, straight away, easy one for you to answer. 9.5 million followers, so you're doing something right on Instagram.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I like how quickly you answered that. There's a few others. David Luiz has got a good Instagram. There's a couple of your teammates that are doing quite well on Instagram.
Yes, I think David Luiz is good at it. Yeah, he's entertaining. And yeah, I like him as well on Instagram. I'm the best.
You're the best. Simple as that. You're number 1.
True or false, Alexandre Lacazette loves to pamper himself?
I'm not sure about that word.
So it means, a lot of skin products, looking in the mirror, looking after his appearance. True. Okay. Go on, explain more. How much does he pamper himself?
No, he will kill me.
But it's true.
We like to take care of him, and I'm the same. I mean, we like to take care of ourselves. Yeah.
I know he's a good friend. I know he's a good friend of yours, so it's only light-hearted. But before a match, does he like to look after his appearance then?
Sometimes, but it's okay. In the game, before a game, I think I'm worse than him.
True or false, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang missed his barber during lockdown?
Yeah.
True, straight away. How much did you miss your barber? Because you spend a lot of time in that hair.
I miss it too much. and I had no clippers to do it myself, so it was really hard.
Did you try it yourself? Did you?
Yeah, but now since we back, I do it myself.
True or false? Bukayo Saka has the best nickname at Arsenal.
Yes, true.
True. Okay. Now, can you reveal this because you gave him this nickname? So tell the viewers what the nickname that you gave him was.
Little Chili.
And why do you call him Lil Chili?
I mean, I call him like this, but in French. So it's Petit Piment. Yeah. Because he's like a little chili, you know, so much energy, so much power, and he's quite small, so it's funny.
A lot of thought went into that. I like that nickname. Is he the best young talent that you've ever played alongside, would you say?
Oh, for sure, it's one of the best, of course. And what I like about him, it's because he's always listening of advices of us, experienced player. So I really like it, and he's really humble. And yes, he wants always to go forward and learn more and try to improve his game. So definitely is one of the best, of course. What
level do you think he can get to, Pierre? Do you think he can get to the very, very top? Because he's so young still, isn't he?
Of course, I think it's 18. So got a lot of time. But as I said to him, the most important, he needs to enjoy, because at this age, to be at this club, it's really special. And he just has to continue like this, to keep improving, and I'm sure he will go to the top, straight to the top.
True or false? Spurs are better than Arsenal.
Sorry?
True or false? Spurs are better than Arsenal.
Are you serious?
I didn't say it. It's just a question that came in. So I can imagine what you're
better than us.
That's the question that's been sent in. Yeah.
Come on.
False. There we go. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed that. We thoroughly enjoyed that. And you can keep the table tennis bat we sent you as well.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Brilliant there from Smithy, formerly of this parish. Still is, do we know? I don't know, Joe, give me some insight, but let's do that off air. Danny Murphy, Aubameyang there. Do Arsenal stick or twist with him? 31, contract running down. What would you do?
Well, depending on what he'd be asking for, I'd keep him. I would want to have him in the squad for sure. He's a leader. He's a super player. And the big problem for Arsenal, of course, is that if he was to go, to replace him with the same quality is nearly impossible. Not even just financially. Which player of that quality or better is going to go to Arsenal at the moment in with the predicament they have in terms of not being in the Champions League, not competing for the title? I'd be pulling out the stops to keep him. I really would.
Joe, is it? It's not just that as well. It's like what he could do with guiding the youngsters as well.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lack of leaders in this Arsenal dressing room, isn't there? And I think Aubameyang is probably one of the key figures in there. And I agree with Danny. I would give him whatever he wants to keep him at the club. And I think there's other players on the books that, if you need fees, you could ship out fairly easily for half decent money. So yeah, you've got to do all you can to keep players like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at the club, because he's just so irreplaceable for Arsenal. Where are they going to find a 20, 30 goal a season striker for less than 60, 70 million in this market? It's just not going to happen.
Still absolutely booting off. I'm going nowhere, gentlemen. I'm sticking with it, Danny. I'm persistent, if nothing else. So we're going to soldier on like nothing is happening. Okay, Will just decided to, announce my comeback. Can you come mate, while I find my feet?
I think I'm getting there, mate. Yeah, it's just it's a bit like a fax machine at the moment, but we are still working through it. But a bit proud, we've been in this game for a long time. But Danny, I just wanted to pick up on some of your beloved memories in your career, and I've just got a couple of quick fire ones here. Best goal you ever scored?
Probably the best goal I actually scored was one nobody will have seen, which was at Blackpool for Crewe many, many years ago from about 35, 40 yards. Just caught one in the wind, and it had all sorts on it. But actually, probably in the Premier League was the goal I scored at Everton for Liverpool to win the derby. The only goal I got against Everton, and it was. I tell this story a lot, but I played against United and scored many goals, as you know, and nobody ever, in all the years travelling the world, has ever spoke to me about the Everton goal. It's only ever the United goals.
It was on my list. I was just going to bring it up next, actually.
Well said. Do you know what? It just shows you one thing, doesn't it? That rivalry with Liverpool and United, how big it is.
What about just touching on the derby? Obviously, you've had a North London derby, a Merseyside derby. Which one was your most enjoyable to play in?
Well, I didn't have my brief experience in North London derby was educational because I wasn't aware of how intense it was and how ferocious it would be in terms of the intensity of the game and the atmosphere. So I was educated in that. But the Liverpool-Everton game was very special to me because I was a Liverpool fan growing up and knowing what it meant to the people and dreaming of scoring in that game as a kid. Because when I first started watching Liverpool, remember, Liverpool-Everton was the rivalry because Everton were pushing Liverpool for titles in the mid-'80s. So the Liverpool-Everton one, especially at Goodison, I don't know if you've been to Goodison, but the atmosphere there, the intensity of the stadium, just an amazing game to play
in. Picking up on that, what is your best moment out on the pitch?
Well, obviously winning trophies for the club you love is something you dream of doing. So I can't really go higher than that. That was the pinnacle. I got to do it a few times. I was very fortunate. Singing You'll Never Walk Alone with a medal around your neck, winning a trophy for Liverpool is pretty indescribable, the emotion you feel. Especially my old man being part of that, journey with me. But the goal I scored at Portsmouth for Fulham to keep them in the division was probably the most special in that it saved people's jobs. It gave the club a platform to go on and have success. It changed people's lives that day. We stayed up more than winning trophies for Liverpool was expected. But for Fulham, that goal meant a lot, and it also stopped me getting a pay cut going down into the Championship. So that was crucial.
I know you actually sent Birmingham down that day, so thank you very much, and it's great to have you on the show today. We are looking at live pictures now. Sorry, Danny, you're...
I was just going to say, when I signed for Fulham last day of the window from Tottenham, Birmingham came in for me the same day. Alex McLeish. So if Fulham hadn't come in for me, I'd have been wearing the blue.
Wow! Don't tell me that's what we could have had. Joe, we're looking at live pictures now. Jose Mourinho, what would you do? Any substitutions?
Look, I think I agree with Danny's chat pre the half-time whistle about Serge Aurier. I think he's a walking red card in this second half, to be totally honest with you. And Ben Davies obviously picked up a card as well. So the fullback area is a little bit of a problem, but I don't know whether he'll trust Tanganga in a game of this magnitude, to be totally honest. Elsewhere, I think Tottenham have been okay. I think Lo Celso's ticked the ball over quite nicely. And for Arsenal, I think much the same second half. I would be surprised to see Nicolas Pepe get a full 90 here. I think Bukayo Saka will be introduced at some stage. But yeah, I think both managers will be fairly worried about changing anything too major because the game has just been so open, and I feel like one error of tactical judgment is going to cost the side dearly here.
Yeah, we have got some price boosts to go into the second half. Obviously, lots of actions, lots going on. Let's see where the money is. Lacazette to score a brace. He's got his shooting boots on. That's at 7-2 now. Son to score a brace. Got his chipping wedge out. That'd be nice. I thought they said Kante then. That would be a surprise. That's short odds for that. Harry Kane to score a third goal at 6-1. Both teams to score in the second half, 15-8. And Harry Winks to be carded there. Those are the price boosts. Thank you to Sky Bet. When the fun stops, you stop. I think that's what you say. I'm new to this role at the moment. But Danny, is that where the problems for Spurs could lie with fullbacks on bookings?
Yeah, it could be, but you'd think they were experienced enough to deal with it. You wouldn't want Aurier to make the same mistake he made in previous games and get a red. I mean, he will have spoken to him about that. I wouldn't worry so much with Ben Davies. He's a clever guy. But you can't change both fullbacks just because they're on a yellow. That's ridiculous. Aurier is maybe an exception because of the history. That he's shown to be untrustworthy before. But I think what's more important with the substitutions today, it's probably one of the first weekends in a few weeks where the heat's going to have a fact. The intensity of the game has been really good. I think some players in the last quarter of the game will be flagging. And that's where games can be won and lost because, as you well know, when you're fatigued, the decision making becomes harder and mistakes happen. So I think we will see, a good number of substitutions as the game wears on.
Speaking of substitutions, there's now only 3 of us here. Danny, this is my first time doing it. We've only just met, but are you with me?
I'm with you. I tell you what, though, do you know Sorry tried to put the blame on me early doors?
Actually, I wasn't having it. Joe, brothers in arms, we've been to university together. Are you with me?
Yeah, mate, 100%. I backed you from day one, to be honest with you, and my mind won't be changed, no matter what the circumstance.
It's a great club, and I'm very happy to be here. Looking forward to spending a few more years here. But let's get back to the football. Second half's just kicked off. No changes as of yet, but let's look at Spurs. Where can Spurs win this game, Danny?
Well, keep the intensity in terms of their attacking play. They've made chances, crossbar away from being in front, aren't they? I think they've just got to be very careful on the counters and make sure that when they are defending, they don't be rash. They make Arsenal work for it. I think Tottenham have got a great chance second half with the way the game's set up. I don't see Tottenham becoming submissive in the game, and I certainly don't think, from a fitness perspective, Arsenal are going to dominate Spurs in that area. When you look at the midfield, especially, Winks is one of the fittest young lads in the Premier League. Sissoko, tremendous athlete. So I think the longer the game goes on at 1-1, the more it suits Tottenham.
Arsenal have had a few days extra rest, Joe. Do you think that'll be a factor going into the second half?
I mean, it shouldn't be because we're talking about top-level athletes, but you never know. Like Danny said, hot day, isn't it, out there? And we're just coming back from Project Restart as well. Players playing lots of games in short periods, so it might be. I do think that the substitution is going to be massively impactful on this game. If Bukayo Saka comes out at 60 minutes and turns it on, I think Tottenham are really going to struggle, to be honest with you. I just look at Tottenham's bench, and I'm not sure what players on that bench come on and have a really meaningful impact on this game. And I'm sure Jose Mourinho's talked about it before this season, actually. I think it was against Manchester United when he said, United look to the bench and they can bring on Pogba, can bring on Greenwood, players like that. Whereas he was looking at his bench thinking, where do I turn? And with players banned or injured, I'm not too sure how many meaningful substitutions there are on that bench for me.
Danny, Jose coming in this year, obviously not at the start he'd have wanted. He brought up that Jurgen Klopp had 4 years to win the Premier League. Do you think we'll ever see anything like that with him at Spurs? Here comes more of that. Oh, good second.
Well, I think it was a good break from Spurs, actually. I think it's dependent with Jose on, not just Jose, a lot of managers, the backing they get. You can't expect him to make Tottenham competitive without some funds. And then recruitment is key. What players can he bring in with his connections and with the relationships he's got with a lot of senior players who respect him and like working with him? That's going to be crucial. As of now, we're sitting here looking at 2 squads. Great point on the benches you just made there regarding the strength in depth. It's if Arsenal are going to rely on a teenager to come on and change the game, that's a problem. And if you're looking at the Tottenham bench and thinking, is there anyone who can even remotely change the game? That's a problem. Whereas the top 2, have different players who can come off the bench and top 4, really. I mean, even Chelsea have got tremendous depth in attacking areas that Tottenham and Arsenal don't have. So I think it's not just about bringing in better, it's also bringing in enough quality so you're not reliant on 11, 12 players. I mean, Tottenham have done, Pochettino did tremendously well because when you think about his success and the 2 or 3 seasons they were really at it, that you could pretty much name his best 11 most of the time. And not many got injured, and that gave them the fluidity and the consistency to compete. But at the moment, you could argue that is this Tottenham's best 11? Probably. But what's below it isn't nowhere near good enough to be competitive. And the same with Arsenal.
Tomlinson, would you be more happy as an Arsenal fan when you look at the sort of pace that Arsenal have got on the bench with like a Willock, a Nelson, and a Saka to come on?
I think I agree with Danny. I think both of the benches are subpar. I think maybe Tottenham will look at like Bergwijn and think, look, what did they spend £30 million to bring him in from PSV in the summer? He should be able to have a meaningful impact off the bench, but I don't know whether Jose Mourinho fully trusts him yet. Whereas Bukayo Saka at least is in very, very good form at the moment. So I think there's very little to separate the benches. They're both average. There's no player that you look at there and go, okay, we can bring on Bernardo Silva, or we can bring on Tammy Abraham, or we can bring on a player of that level in either of these benches. So both the managers will be looking to upgrade the squads as a whole, I think, over the next month or so.
Danny, we touched on Ndombele in the first half as well. Is this the sort of game where, I mean, if he come on, have a good performance in a derby, it could sort of change his Tottenham career a little bit?
Who did you say? Dembele?
Ndombele.
Ndombele, yeah.
First down the job, sorry, mate. Got a D in French as well.
I didn't realise they brought him back. Yes, he is capable of creating great moments because he's got super talent. It doesn't seem like he trusts him, but he is capable. And actually, yeah, when legs are tired, you put him in there as instead of maybe Lo Celso or even playing behind Kane if Son tires, he can produce because he's got that eye for goal and he's got that skill. But is he training well? Does he prepare well? Is he showing the right attitude? You know, it's always I think strange when you've got a player of such ability technically. And that's no doubt. And the manager very rarely uses him in big games or trusts him. He's doing something wrong in training. He's not doing something because most managers will put up with a little bit if you've got the talent. But if your attitude and application is really below par, then you know you're not going to use him. And we'll see as the second half goes on. But he hasn't in recent weeks relied on him at any time, has he?
Yeah, he brought him on against Bournemouth. Or did he bring him on? He started him against Bournemouth, didn't he? And he was absolutely awful against Bournemouth. So I'm not overly surprised he hasn't got many minutes there.
Well, and Hector breaking up the right, Danny. Talk me through that one.
Well, it was brilliant recovery from Moura. Watch this. This is why Moura's in the team, because he doesn't mind doing this. And this is the overload you get when you play wing backs, because Davies has had to go in and cover. And that's why you need Moura and people like Moura who are prepared to do that and run back. Hence the fact Ndombele isn't playing, because I don't think he does that. But yeah, he did play against Bournemouth. I only saw some highlights. I'm talking about big games against good opposition.
Yeah.
Corner whips in, cleared away there. Danny, lots of questions coming in for you as well. One here from Red, as he says, with your Liverpool hat on, where do they need to strengthen next season?
Oh, here we go. Problem.
He's got to do better there, Pepe, isn't he? Pepe's got to do a bit better there.
Yeah, poor cross. I think for Liverpool, we are talking about small details. I would like to see somebody come in to compete with the front three. Just because, although Origi's done well and scored some big goals and is loved by the fans, Origi, Shaqiri, people like that aren't quite up to the quality of the backup that, say, City have got. But how can you say Liverpool need anything, really, with the 2 seasons they've had? It's who am I to say that, or who is anybody to say they need to strengthen? I mean, if they get 100 points again, or 98 or 99, 100 points next season, they're probably going to win it. They've got great competition in midfield. You could argue a little bit of cover maybe at left back for Robertson. I think that would help. I think Curtis Jones could could really save them some money in the market if they did want another midfielder. He's got great ability to get in the box and score goals. I think we're going to see more of him next season. But yeah, maybe someone in the attacking areas. Go big and get Sancho. Steal him from United. Why not?
We'd all love to see that. Maybe not you, Joe. But looking at how the pandemic could affect football going forward, do you think we're going to see, especially the top clubs, use their academies a lot more?
Yeah, I think we've seen that already. I mean, we saw it with Chelsea for different reasons. Because of the transfer ban and the success they've had with their likes of Mount, Tomori, Billy Gilmore, people like that. I think other clubs look and think, hold on. And Arsenal, a great example. You know, they've got 3 or 4 young lads now who are really competing. Ketia, Willett, Saka, you know, really good players, given a platform to play because they're not spending tens of millions, chance here, tens of millions in the...
do better.
Yeah, it was poor. Hit and hope.
Yeah.
So, yes, in answer to your question, I do think we're going to see more. Liverpool are starting to bring young lads through. United have done it with Rashford. Greenwood looks a fine. We've got the fullback, the young lad at United as well coming through. I think we are going to see that. And why not? You know, fans love it. You know, most fans love seeing their own come through. I think you get hunger, you get energy, you get desire, which is all part and parcel of it. And the club save money. I mean, it's a win-win. I think we've gone too long relying on transfers and demanding our clubs go and buy the best or spend millions on the so-called best. When actually we've got a lot of diamonds in the rough ourselves coming through these academies. Really, I think we have. I think we've got super crop of young talent. I mean, Southgate's going to have a hell of a job by the end of next season picking his front three. My God.
Tomlinson, you've been watching this game like a hawk. We'll go back to the academy chat, but Arsenal have had 88% possession on this second half. Is this a sort of vintage Mourinho? I wouldn't say part of the bus, but yeah, it's been Arsenal on the ball a lot.
Well, I mean, you're not expecting Jose Mourinho teams to go out there and dominate the ball and play beautiful football, are you, at any stage, really? But I'm sure he's not happy with this first 15 minutes. His team's struggled to get on the ball, really. And the chance they have had, that Sergio Aurier cross was really, really poor quality for a player of his experience. And they need to get somebody on the pitch. I don't know what Danny thinks, in that midfield area that's just going to come on and get hold of the ball and just get the game by the scruff of the neck a little bit, because at the moment it's just kind of bypassing the Celso, it's bypassing Winks a little bit, and I don't know who's the man to do it, but to me they're just a bit passive in the midfield.
Well, what happens is you're a lot of people. I mean, the perfect midfielder is athletic, great technically, can dictate play and tempo. Normally, you're one or the other. And what we're seeing today...
Oh, it's a chance. Aubameyang goal. Oh, my God.
Danny told me to do it.
Got away with it, Spurs. It's one each with the woodwork, isn't it? Good strike on his left foot, but just couldn't quite get it across the goal. You want to go across the keeper there. That man Aubameyang, I tell you what, it doesn't matter what position he plays, he always gets chances. He's a real goal threat. Good ball from Lacazette, wasn't it? Waited his time, lovely.
Yeah.
To be fair to Sancho, he gets across there. Missed it a little bit. Just got under it. I think he wanted to hit it with the laces and keep it low, but it's a little concern. Going back to the point, Arsenal have got 2 technicians in the middle of the pitch who are just starting to dictate play. I think Ceballos is growing in the game. He's done really well. Tottenham, you're right. They need someone just to slow the tempo down and get some passes. It's not always about being progressive. It's about having a breather and stopping the other team gaining momentum. But they've got to get through this little spell, Spurs.
Danny, just looking at Arsenal free kick in what I would call Danny Murphy territory. As a free kick taker, how much were you practicing your free kicks after training?
Yeah, a lot. It does take a lot of practice. That's more of a left footer, but it shouldn't go in there. The keeper shouldn't be scoring from that type of angle, really. You'd have to hit an absolute world.
Oh, that's awful.
World does his job.
That's not the best, is it?
Come on, Pepe. Come on, Pepe.
He's tracking back there.
I love it back there.
Yeah. Oh, Pepe in the book there. We've got quite a few bookings.
We have, but do you know what? I was going to bring this up first half about bookings and what do you want from your team when you're in a derby or any game, but especially a derby and you've not been having a good time. I wouldn't care. It wouldn't bother me if 10 of my players come in with a yellow card at half time. Would not bother me.
Joe, is that what do you want to see?
If I want to see a reaction.
Yeah, I know what Danny's saying. He wants that team to battle and give anything for the shirt, doesn't he, in a derby? And that's exactly what the fans want to see. I think Nicolas Pepe, though, for me, in the 60 minutes I've seen of him so far, just hasn't offered enough. Just hasn't offered enough going forward. You lose that element of Lucas, like you saw Lucas Moura there battling back, winning the ball off him and then challenging him up the field. So I would be surprised to see Nicolas Pepe play too much longer, to be totally honest. I don't think he's having a particularly good game.
You're not a fan, are you?
Danny,
Not a fan, I can tell.
I don't mind him, but I actually think he's had an all right season. I think he's been overly criticised by a lot of people. I think he's done okay first season, but I just think maybe in a derby where you want a bit more blood, sweat and tears, I don't know whether he's the man.
Right, let's get our managerial hats on. Danny, I'm putting you in charge of Spurs. What changes would you like to see as we come up to the 60th minute?
It's sometimes difficult when you're not at a game, really, to assess the physicality of players, but I always find that more difficult from afar. But I think freshening it, when you freshen it up with personnel or a tactical change, it can give people a lift. So I don't think we'll in the next 5 minutes. I think we'll see Tottenham probably make a change or two. I'm not exactly sure who, but yeah, it's gone a bit flat for them. And when it goes a bit flat, you need something to liven people up. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Lamella's always got that tenacity in him. Sometimes not as creative as he doesn't score enough for me, but he doesn't half put a shift in. He rattles people. He gets after people. He could be an option. But yeah, it's looking like Arsenal are growing in the game. I know I said earlier, I think as the game goes on, Tottenham will get better. They're proving me wrong because I tell you what, Arsenal are. They're playing very intelligently at the moment. They're keeping the ball at times just to have a breather, and that's clever on a day like today. Someone's got to take a risk for Spurs. Someone's going to have to, grab hold of it or come out of position and get hold of the game a little bit before it runs away from them. Oh,
that's the one, Harry Kane down there, but looks like he's going to be all right. Joe, from an Arsenal perspective, obviously Pepe's been on the radar, but who would you like to bring on?
Do you know what? I think Arsenal are actually, like Danny said, just growing into the game. So I wouldn't change an awful lot. I'd maybe bring Bukayo on for Nicolas Pepe, and then I would have a think about Joe Willock potentially, just adding a little bit more energy into that team and a little bit more dynamism going forward. So I wouldn't change much. Maybe Bukayo Saka and Joe Willock, but other than that, they're playing pretty well at the moment, Arsenal.
Danny, like I said, we're getting so many questions in. Obviously, your first appearance on the Football Social. There's one here from Jams, and he said, how gutting was it to miss out on the 2002 World Cup through injury? And why was everyone injuring their metatarsals in the early 2000s?
I don't know the answer to number 2. But it was devastating because there was a lot of injuries. I mean, I was around at a time when the midfield was nothing short of ridiculous, the talent we had. Better players than I, of course. Gerrard, Scholesy, Butty, Lamps, Kieran Dyer, Becker. I mean, it's just that Owen Hargreaves came on the scene, Joe Cole. It was a tough time to get involved, and because there was a couple of injuries, I got drafted into the squad. And then, as it happened, when I left because of the injury, and I was devastated, Trevor Sinclair came over for me, and he ended up playing, if you remember, because there was more injuries during the tournament. So it was a difficult one watching it when you go home, when you realise probably the last chance I was going to get to play in a World Cup because of the quality around me. But you know what? All you can do is crack on, and that. By the time I got fit, pre-season was starting again, and away you go again with Liverpool. And but yeah, look, I probably look back on it now with more regret than I did at the time, maybe. But on the day when you find out, you're out, horrible feeling. Coming out of the hospital I think I was in Korea, loads of journos, and I was on crutches, and I couldn't even get in the car because it was that hectic. You just want to phone your loved ones and break down and have a cry, but you couldn't. You had to front it out and think you were tough in front of all the cameras. Not easy.
No, it was tough. It'd have been. I wanted you there. I had you picked on my FIFA 2002 World Cup game, but that's just me, Danny. Joe, we're seeing Saka come on. Obviously, it's got to be Pepe, hasn't it?
I'm not sure they've made the substitution yet. I think he is about to be made now, or will be maybe when they're in a slightly different transition. But it looks like it's going to be Bukayo Saka for Pepe. Pretty much an out-and-out swap. I kind of wanted to ask you, Danny, what position do you think is Bukayo Saka's best? Because he's obviously played left back, left wing back, left wing, and now he's kind of found himself in this right wing role where he can cut in. Where do you think he's best?
I think with his end product, higher up the pitch, because he seems like a young man who makes the right decisions in attacking areas. So when to pass, when to dribble. He can score a goal. We've seen that. Got off the mark recently. He can assist. We've seen that. And I think when you've got a young player who's showing potential in attacking areas to score goals and make goals, there's not many of them around who have that composure at his age. So, yeah, of course, vary his position if need be. You can play him with his pace and his discipline at the back. But when you've got that much talent, further up the pitch, the better for me. And actually, even in one of those midfield, if he plays a 3 in midfield, for example, I think he'd be absolutely fine there because he's technically very, very good. He's blessed, isn't he? He's one of those players. I remember Stevie G coming through. I mean, I'm not comparing him; they're different players, but as a versatility aspect, I'm talking about. Stevie actually played his first couple of games as a right back for Liverpool. Played a holding role for many years. Stevie played as a number 10, played as a right midfielder. Why do we have to pigeonhole a player into one position? What's wrong with having the versatility and capabilities of playing more? Some people say it's a hindrance. I don't. I think it adds many strings to his bow. I mean, could he play left back for England with the problems we've got there? Is that something he's capable of? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting time to be an England fan as well. Tomlinson, on you. Speaking of exciting prospects, I've not sat down with you since, not the emergence, but Mason Greenwood's on this hot streak. You're watching him religiously. How excited should we be as a Man United / England fan?
I mean, yeah, very excited. He's obviously a top level talent. I just worry that there's going to be a little bit too much pressure put on him. It feels like everybody in their aunt is saying, he's going to be this, he's going to be that, he's going to be a superstar in the future. And I think if you were just to let him naturally grow, he definitely would be. After the lockdown, he's put on a lot of muscle. Over the lockdown, Ollie's talked about how it's been a real positive for Mason Greenwood because he kind of went into the lockdown a little bit of a boy and has come out of it more of a man. As you can see, he's physically grown in the last sort of 2 to 3 months, which often happens, doesn't it? So I've been super impressed with him. He looks just ready-made for Manchester United. And if I was Gareth Southgate, I would be panicking. I don't know how he picks his front six to go to the Euros. It's just a glut of unbelievably talented players. Whoever misses out is going to be very hard done by because it feels like we've got an incredible group of young players coming through right now.
Substitution has been made. Pepe is off. Saka is on. Just been sent a stat by Phil Chorley, our producer. 194 passes for Spurs. 194 passes for Arsenal. Only 37 for Spurs in the second half, Danny. Is that to be expected?
No, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, midfielder.
After the first half. Well, you know what it says to me, and I always look at midfield more than anywhere else because that's where I played. Ceballos and Xhaka, they're footballers, they're technicians. And it doesn't matter if people talk about athleticism and getting about the pitch, and I do as well, to be fair, but when you've got...
he's in.
He's in.
Oh, when you shoot.
Oh,
keeper again,
that's a
by
good
the way.
save by the keeper.
Well, he was sharp off his line, wasn't he?
Yeah, Danny, we spoke a
Really
bit about him there, but just talk me
line.
through what he did there.
Well, just aware, just really agile. I mean, it a bit fortunate in that the ball wasn't a little bit more towards... Was it Son, I think? We haven't seen the replay.
Yeah.
But They got that came out of nothing, didn't it? That chance came out of nothing. But I was just saying in the midfield areas. When you've got people who are comfortable on the ball. Do you know the best example? I was talking yesterday actually with Ian Wright. I was on Match today with all day. We were in there talking about different players. I was talking about Pirlo. Do you know there was a stat in, I think when they played England-Italy in a competition a few years back, if you remember, I think he did less sprints than the goalkeeper. But he ran the game. he ran the game.
Good gig that.
He just had the ability to play. I mean, Busquets can't run. But he has more passes than anybody else. He dictates play for Barcelona. I grew up watching Jan Molby. I mean, you probably don't remember Jan Molby. What a footballer he was.
Can you mention the Harriers manager? Legend.
There you go. Look how quick he is off the line. Spreads himself really well.
You're keeping that, innit? It's great keeping.
Joe, if you're an Arsenal fan, and we normally have one with us, Dave Jackson, like the emergence of these youngsters, and even the keeper with the maturity, you've got to be pleased, especially in the North London derby.
Yeah, I mean, I think that some of the youngsters are obviously going to be top-level players, but I do think that there are definitely areas that Arteta, although the youngsters have filled holes, are going to want to improve with slightly more senior players. And Bukayo Saka's done an awesome job since he's come in, hasn't he? But do you expect Bukayo Saka to play sort of 40 games a season at aged 18? In the same regards, you could say the same thing of Manchester United and Mason Green, but maybe it's a little bit too much pressure on his shoulders right now. So I'm sure they'll want to improve the team, even though they have had the emergence of these great crop of youngsters like your Eddie Nketiahs and your Reece Nelsons.
Danny, we couldn't have you on the show, me as a Birmingham City fan and you as a fantastic midfielder, without talking about Jude Bellingham. Have you seen much of him, and where do you think his next move will be?
Well, it was talk about Dortmund, wasn't it? I don't know if he's agreed that or not, but I've seen a bit of him. But one of my family members works in the recruitment game, and he told me about him 2 years ago. He said he's the best young player in the country. Said he's a superstar. He said he's going to be whatever he wants to be. So I've known about him for quite a while. And when watching him, you can tell that he's got that elegance. He's got that brain. He's got that football intelligence that doesn't get coached. He's a good athletic. He's good size. He's athletic, technically gifted. He can pass. And he seems to have the mentality, but obviously we'll see as time goes by how he deals with the pressure. But it's a massive, massive decision for him and his family to make the right decision now for his development, because, you need a good coach. Here goes Moura, by the way. He's had a good game.
Oh, it's a great ball.
Oh, Joe taught me through it.
Well, you say poor ball. I actually thought that was a really good ball. I think he's cut it back into a great area. I'm just not sure where the players are arriving on. He's tried to find Sonny, hasn't he? It's just maybe a yard in front of him. But it's the right idea, just slightly off. But yeah, Tottenham just growing a little bit maybe into this game. And I think, is Jose about to make a change here? I'm not too sure, but I think it's coming, surely, 75 minutes in.
He doesn't look too happy anyway for someone.
I'm surprised there's not been more changes. I really am. Really surprised. And I think you're right. It's been a little shift. It might just suit Arsenal. Tottenham coming out a little bit more with the pace they've got on the pitch. I hope not, by the way.
We were talking... yeah, got the Spurs hat back on there. Joe, we were talking about Jude Bellingham. 20 million is the rumour to Dortmund. Would you not want United to put their hands in the pocket a little bit more?
Well, I think United, I don't always have no insight, do I? But from what I've read, United are obviously very interested in him. But if he wants to go to Dortmund, then he's obviously seen a pathway for a player like Jadon Sancho, and he's going to look to try and replicate that. And you've got to wish him all the best if he goes to Dortmund, because it's a great club, fantastic development of youth players out there. So fingers crossed he goes out there, performs, and then comes back, because, we were speaking to Charlie Adam, weren't we, who's still kicking around in the Championship and has played against Jude a couple of times, and was saying that he thinks that the Dortmund move might be the wrong move for him. And that just because it's worked for Jadon Sancho doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for Jude Bellingham. So it's all a matter of opinion. So I just hope he's got the right people around him and is being advised by the right people because he's only, was he 16, Will? So young.
Just turned 17, yeah, so a very young lad. We've got some prize boosts. I'm just doing in my
Why don't you tell us about it?
I will do after these amazing prize boosts. Saka to score the third goal at 22-1. Joe Tomlinson's favourite Arsenal player is what he's just been coined by myself. Joe, shortly, this one's going to come in. Little left foot wonder.
That's good odds. I know he's only scored 1 goal in the Premier League, but he's on form and he's finally playing a bit further up the pitch. They can get the ball into his feet and get him running at Ben Davies, who is a little bit slower, I think I'm being kind in saying that, than Bukayo Saka. Then I think they could have some problems.
Let's round up the Jude Bellingham chat. All I want is a fat load of cash and then we can move on. Danny, back to you. Obviously, you've gone into the punditry game and smashed that, but is there still aspirations for coaching or have you ruled that out?
I doubt that's ever going to happen now. I nearly got back in. I nearly got involved a couple of times. One at Liverpool, actually, when Brendan was changing his staff around, and it didn't quite happen. The only other opportunities that I've come across my way have not been what I deemed to be appropriate for me in terms of the level I'd want to be at. But I've got a nice life balance with I love the work, the punditry work, more than I thought I would. I really I love watching football anyway and the tactical aspect of it. And I get a nice life balance with the kids and playing a bit of golf and having, because when you coach at any level, if you want to do it properly, it's 7 days a week. You've got to commit wholeheartedly. And I think maybe I've missed the boat on it a little bit. But no, I mean, I've got a lot of friends in the game. If someone asked me to go along with them, if they've got a role, maybe, you never know. We'll have to wait and see. But I like the recruitment aspect of things as well. Sometimes I watch players for certain people, which I enjoy. I like trying to spot talent from different places, but no, watching football, talking about it like we are, and getting paid for it is a joke, really, because I love it and I'd watch it anyway.
It's a nice life. We're all very privileged. No, and what an honour it is to have you here today, Danny. And what is a very much changed lineup, but we're getting through it. Football Social, 13 minutes left. No Chris Hamill. Will Brazier in the hot seat. Joe, just seen that Bournemouth Leicester teams have come out. Leicester, have we written them off for that top 4?
No, definitely not written them off. I think they're still well in the hunt, and with Jamie Vardy in the team, they're always going to be in the hunt. They're certainly experiencing a little bit of a dry patch under Brendan Rodgers at the moment, but I'm sure they're going to turn it around, and Bournemouth is one of the easier fixtures in the league. This is an absolute must-win game for Leicester City, given that Chelsea dropped points yesterday and Manchester United face up against Southampton. Is a chance, by the way, for Arsenal. It's nice by Bellerin.
Sweet strike there.
Great strike by Aubameyang. But yeah, I think Brendan Rodgers will be telling his side this is an absolute must-win today. They cannot afford to drop points on the weekend. Chelsea do.
Danny, what do you make about it?
I'm surprised at Chelsea's performance yesterday. I did the game. It was lacklustre from them. I mean, I've enjoyed watching the season, by the way, and I think Frank's done a good job, but they've given Leicester a great window now to get that win today and have the destiny in their own hands. It's going to be interesting, though, isn't it? Because the decision on City on Monday morning.
Yeah, 9:30.
I tell you, if it goes against them, which I hope it doesn't for the integrity of the competition and all that, I think that Leicester and Chelsea will breathe a little bit easier if that decision goes against Man City. But we'll wait and see. They've had a great season, Leicester. Let's make no bones about it. Even if they do fall away, I still think they've been terrific, considering what they're up against and the level of financial clout they have to compete against. I think they've done really well.
Well, let's talk about that as well. So, I mean, we're not in the Manchester City changing room, but for someone like De Bruyne, if he's not got European football, you only got a limited time as a player in a career. Danny, do you think he would leave Manchester City?
Well, what if they win it this year and they only get banned for a year? I think you'd stay because you think, well, I've just won it. It's only one season. I won't be playing and travelling the world all the time. I'll have a little break.
Save again.
Oh, he didn't get hold of it.
Great chance.
Keeper out again. Joe, what was that? Talk me through that chance, Joe.
I mean, fabulous ball by Lucas Moura, isn't it? And you have to say, it's more good goalkeeping by Emi Martinez. I don't think he catches it quite right, though, Harry Kane. Slices it a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, but it's the keeper's speed off his line that makes Kane bluff it, because he's thinking he's coming. He is sharp off it. He's quick-footed, isn't he? Great
good player.
Moura, by
really
the way.
good player.
Corner in from Hume. So the best thing been about Martinez is that he's done the simple things just really, really effectively, Danny. Goal! And he's right on cue. Commentator's curse. Danny Murphy, Toby Alderweireld with a goal. What a chance! What a goal! 2-1 Spurs.
Set plays. No matter how you're playing in a game, set plays. You've got to defend them properly.
I feel like Martinez could have maybe got a bit to it there. Just too close to him? No, it's not in the corner.
That's harsh. How harsh are you being there, William?
I'd have got it.
Great corner.
But it's not for everyone.
There's a great pace on the ball in Son. And the touch out of Alderweireld. I mean, it's a powerful header. The keeper's got no chance. Just trying to look who's supposed to be picking him up there, whether there's Zonal or man-to-man. I'd have to see it again, but...
we've got to zoom in on David Luiz. I hope it's not him again for his playing career.
I think they just do that naturally. I think they just do that anyway.
Who is it? David Luiz. There's another change for Spurs there. Bergwijn on, a bit of pace going in. Lucas Moura off. Joe, what did you make of Moura's performance?
I think he was okay, actually. What he does do well for Jose, and I'm sure the reason Jose really loves Lucas Moura is he works hard going both ways, doesn't he? He really does support his fullback out, which is something you can't say of every winger Jose Mourinho has managed. So he'll be excited to have Lucas Moura under his belt. But this is now a tough 8 minutes for Arsenal, and Arteta in particular, because Jose's never lost against Arsenal. He will now shut up shop. He's going to be very deep. And it's going to be hard to break him down. So we'll really see what Arteta and this Arsenal team are made of in the next 8 minutes. Because Tottenham on the break again. He's dived in. Horrific by Mustafi. Oh, my word.
Wow.
The Sunday league for Mustafi. Oh, what was Mustafi doing there? Deary me, Danny.
Keeper again, though. He's having a great game. Yeah, poor play from Mustafi.
Why are you diving in here?
What? So lazy.
Stay on your feet. Deary me. Great
save, wasn't it? Good save. He dived in because he's tired.
Needs a couple of Jaffa cakes, doesn't he, Danny?
Yeah. That's what happens. Your decision making goes when you're tired.
Yeah, tired legs.
Kane's done everything right, really. Yeah, got down well to his left again. That was game over, wasn't it? Here we go. Skip on for the Celso. Clever move. More defensive.
What do you make of Skip? Obviously, we've had fleeting appearances, but a midfielder, so great to get your thoughts on him.
I like him. He's a neat footballer. He's tidy. He's intelligent. He might just lack the physical power to play centrally. He'd be all right in a 3, but I think he's a footballing type. He needs some legs around him. But yeah, he's a Tottenham type. The younger players of Tottenham are all comfortable on the ball, and he's another one. So yeah, he's definitely good young man to have about in the squad. He's not going to be expecting to play every week, but come in and do a job. See how he develops.
Right, triple substitution for Arsenal. Cedric, Nelson and Willock on for Bellerin, Tierney and Koscielnak. Not the most inspiring one.
Kolasinac, man.
Yeah, that's the one, Danny. Sorry, I've got 3 people in my ear here, but and English literature was the C, so it's not the strongest. But Arsenal have done some subs.
Is that A-level or GCSE?
I got kicked out at A-level,
Definitely
which my mum probably didn't want me to bring up on this. So, but Arsenal got some subs. What do we all make of it?
Why
Energy
not? Go for it.
For a few more legs.
Yeah. He'll feel.
Go on, Danny. Sorry.
Arteta will feel angry at the moment because second half, for large parts, they've been in control. They'll be really, really disappointed. especially off a set play.
Yeah, I think they've probably gone to a back four now as well, haven't they? It looks like Bukayo Saka's gone into that left back slot, showing his versatility. They've shifted away from the four. Cedric Suarez is going to come on in that right back role, and then Willock moving into the further, more advanced forwards. So they're obviously going to go for it. Willock, Nelson on the pitch now, are throwing all the guns at it. But the guns that are coming on, This is the trouble for Arsenal, isn't it? And Mikel Arteta, he looks at the players that are coming on here, and rather than bringing on, as a Man City or a Chelsea would or a Liverpool would, top level players, he's having to say to the young lads, going, "Go on, boys, see what you can do out there." Can Reece Nelson pick apart this Jose Mourinho defence? Can Joe Willock? It's a lot to ask, I think, in my opinion.
It's been a good performance, hasn't it, Danny? With the transfer of Aubameyang off the bar, they have played well.
To a degree. I mean, they both had a go, haven't they? I wouldn't say they've both been great. They both had spells in the game. They both had hit the woodwork. You know what? Football at top level, it's small margins, really small margins. You're looking at width of a post, a brilliant finish, a mistake. We've seen mistakes. We've seen great strikes. And games are won and lost on fine things, little moments, fine details. I don't think either one could turn around and say they deserve, they completely deserve to win, because Arsenal, as I said, but they've done well. But here we go. This is the problem.
Win the game now.
Yeah.
I thought it was going in. So did the man who's controlling the sounds, by the sounds of it. Great break again, though, Joe.
It'll be interesting to look at the stats, but it feels like, just watching it live, that Tottenham have probably had the better chance.
Especially Joe in this last 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think Tottenham have played on the counter-attack really nice, and Arsenal have just shown a little bit naivety at the back, to be honest with you. Some tired legs out there. We saw Mustafi diving in. Obviously, David Luiz can be a little bit rash at times, and Tottenham just looking to exploit that. But equally, you look at the players like Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. That's what you're expecting. That bit more experience going forward that Jose will be after.
Ultimately, we've seen a very open game that could have gone either way, and it could be settled by a set play. So, can you defend set plays better? Of course, you can analyse it and say, "Oh, we let him score there. You haven't gone with him, etc., etc." I think at this stage of the season, or this stage of their tenures, the managers, they're looking at which players they're going to keep. Are they progressing? Which ones are adapting to what he wants, doing what he said, and building and looking for next season? Of course, the kudos of winning a North London derby is great, but I think both managers are looking at the character of the players and thinking, has he got enough in him to be on board with me next season? And the level of performance for both has been encouraging at times. They've both had a go for the managers. I've not seen either team here not putting it in and not having a go. I mean, I don't know what you see. I see both teams really gone for it today.
What about you, Joe? Do you agree with Danny? Both teams have gone at it for this North London derby?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think they've left anything in the changing room, have they? This has been absolutely all they can give today, blood, sweat and tears. And I think what you're probably seeing is two teams that don't have that top-level quality in their squad, but have definitely left everything out on the pitch. I think if Man City or Liverpool were playing today, it'd have been a fairly comfortable run-out, just because of the quality they've got comparatively to these boys, and Liverpool the same. But having said that, look at Sissoko. He's dead out on his feet, isn't he? And Jose will absolutely love this about this Tottenham team. If there's one thing he demands from his team, it is passion, and that you are going to leave everything you have out on this field. And I think Tottenham and Arsenal have done that today. And like Danny said, it's come down to a set piece, really, isn't it? It's been very, very even between the two sides. A draw probably would have been a fair result.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I also think as well, credit both sets of players for creating an intensity on a hot day with no supporters. Let's not forget that. They've really dug deep within to create this type of... I've enjoyed it. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable game.
We still could have your prediction, Danny, as well, and with Laka and Aubameyang on the pitch, it's not out of the realms of possibility, is it?
Well, I hope I'm wrong, to be honest.
Keep it at 2-1 and stick with that. Well, as it stands on the table, Spurs go to 9th, a point behind Arsenal, and then it's another 3 points to Sheffield United in 7th, which could be European football. But Danny, we spoke earlier about the Europa League for clubs like Arsenal and Spurs. Would they maybe be happy with the year off?
It's not about being happy. It's about taking the positives from it. I mean, Jose and Mikel Arteta would both love a European trophy at their respective clubs, wouldn't they? You know, if Tottenham was to win the Europa League, that would be massive for Tottenham. Even though they've been in the Champions League final, there'd still be a trophy. And the same for Arsenal. So I don't want to belittle it because I've won the UEFA Cup myself, and it means the world to me. But I just mean when you don't get there, you can look at it in a different way and say, well, okay, it's not going to be a distraction. We can just plough every single bit of our energy into the Premier League. It's not so much about being happy. I suppose I phrased that wrong. It's more just understanding the positives of for the squad if you're not involved.
Right, we are into injury time. 4 minutes added on. There's a bit of break in play. So, Joe, I'll start with you. Who is your man of the match today?
Oh, cool. That is a tough one, to be honest with you. Really, really tough one. There hasn't been one standout player, isn't there? It doesn't feel like there's been one standout moment. I bet Danny's absolutely delighted you've come to me for this one first, because off the top of my head, I am really struggling.
Did the old Football Manager just say Toby Alderweireld because he scored the goal?
I mean, yeah, I don't think there's. Do you know what? I don't know whether I would award one. I don't think there's been a standout player.
If you were to,
I think it has happened before. I think Gary Neville's refused to award a man of the match, didn't he? But I don't know, man. I don't know. I think maybe Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I think he's been very decent, even though they're on the losing side. If he was surrounded by more quality, I think he would be a candidate. So maybe Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. But, you know, Son's run himself into the ground. Lucas Moura ran himself into the ground when he was on as well. Hard to pick.
Right, Joe went for about 8 players there. Danny, can I get one succinct name for you there? Lots of shout. I'll throw you a lifeline. The keeper. The producer was saying the keeper.
No, I'd go Winks. Harry Winks for Tottenham. I think the amount of work he's got to be trying to help his back four out has been amazing. I think you're right with Son and Moura. Put in hell of a shift. Son got the goal. You could give it Son, but I like what I've seen about Winks. It's not always about the great passes or the silks and the skills. He's really kept them at bay. He's helped. For Arsenal, I've liked Ceballos' performance. I think he's been a big factor into why they've had such good spells in the game. I know I've criticised his lack of legs before, but today he's shown to me that he can play that role. So for Tottenham, I'd probably go just over Son, and then Ceballos, and maybe the keeper for Arsenal has been. I know it's not been loads of amazing stays, but he's been tremendous today. The goalkeeper, really impressed with him.
Yes.
Joe, you a bit surprised with that substitution? I know he's ran very hard, but with 1 minute left, Son's got the quality to back a goal.
No, I mean, Eric Lamela is like what Jose loves in a player, isn't he? He's going to come on, he's going to kick 15 people in the next 30 seconds, and he's going to run about like a headless chicken. So he's Jose's go-to man when it's this sort of area, I think. I'm not surprised at all. Waste a bit of time.
Got to lump it long now. We've got 15 seconds on.
It's a great ball, you know.
Oh, he's in.
Oh, my word.
Just about dealt with. Bit hairy there, Danny.
Well, it was when it was falling to Aurier. I was thinking, oh no, what's he going to do now? But he dealt with it well. No, he dealt with it well. I tell you what, it is worth mentioning the discipline of both fullbacks.
Game over. Someone falls to the floor from Arsenal. Bit of argy-bargy. Jose Mourinho wins the North London derby. Danny's former team. Jose's delighted. Looks the Sheffield, but you would be with heat pounding down on you in North London. It's Tottenham 2, Arsenal 1. They move. We've done this.
I thought they at one point in the second half they were brilliant a bit, and they managed to shift the momentum in the game. And I think the the win is a massive boost for this squad and for Jose and for the relationship with the fans. It was needed more. I said that before. I'm not saying Arsenal didn't want to win it. Of course they did. You could tell that in their performance. But that man Jose needed that win today, and Tottenham needed it. So back to the drawing board a little bit for Arteta. It'll be disappointing because I don't think the performance was bad. I think they had some really good spells in the game, and he's got plenty to work with there. But for Tottenham, it was a huge result.
Joe, looking to the end of the season now, Spurs could really build on it. Newcastle away, Leicester at home, and Crystal Palace away.
Yeah, but I think the trouble with this Tottenham team has been total inconsistency under Jose Mourinho, hasn't it? And I don't think one result particularly changes that. You know, he's had big results in the past, and then we saw performances like that one against Bournemouth last week. So he'll be hoping to build on it, and I'm sure this will be a massive confidence boost for Tottenham, but they've just got to be way more consistent in their performance levels. They've got to play like it's the North London derby every single week, because at the moment they blow so hot and cold. You don't know whether you're going to get a performance like that or you're going to get a performance like the one we saw away at Bournemouth midweek.
Then, Danny, looking on the Arsenal side, they've got Liverpool at home, Aston Villa away, and Watford at home. What will they be pushing for? Just to get points on the board for the end of the season?
Yeah, momentum. Everyone's playing for their place. You've got a manager there who's looking at who he's going to bring in. Every professional footballer, every time you step out on the pitch, you're playing for yourself, your family, the club who employ you to manage, and you never know where you're going to be. You know, you've got to look. I think now Tottenham have gone above Arsenal in the league. It will give them a boost. I think that does give you a psychological boost, and Mourinho will love that. For Tottenham fans, finishing above Arsenal is a big thing, and for Arsenal fans, finishing above Spurs more recently. But for Jose to finish above Arsenal this season is a big incentive, and now they've gone above them, and with the running they've got, I think they'll stay there.
Well, let's have a look at that table, Danny. You mentioned it there. 3 points for Spurs. That puts them into 8th, 52 points. Arsenal now 9th. But, I mean, looking at that top four, Joe, and there's so much to be decided, isn't there, going into these last 3 games?
Yeah, for sure. I think Manchester United's game against Southampton tomorrow is going to be a crucial match in that top 4 race. United absolutely have to win that with a chance to go second. Obviously, Leicester play chance to go third, I should say. But Leicester play tonight. That's an absolute must-win as well. I just think that with momentum at the moment, it's with Manchester United. Having said that, Chelsea and Leicester have to play each other, I think. I think Leicester have also got to play Wolves. Chelsea have definitely got to play Wolves and Liverpool. So United have the easiest run into the top 4. And if Solskjaer doesn't make it from this point, I think he'll be pretty disappointed.
We didn't get to look at the bottom of the table there, but I can confirm Aston Villa, despite a win, are still in the bottom 3. So that's a shame for them. We can have a look. I think we can have a little look there just for me, just to appease me. There you come to the table.
Oh, you just want to see it because you're a Birmingham fan. Here he is.
I'm just a journalist, as they said in Green Street. I'm just a journalist. Norwich, bottom there, 21 points relegated. 19 is Bournemouth and 18th Aston Villa. It is West Ham versus Watford next week, Danny. And then Villa could pick up a point. They'll only be a point behind Watford. So have they sort of brought themselves back into it?
Only just. I mean, you look at the goal difference, you could call that a point for West Ham, really. So I think West Ham are done. I think they're safe. Can Villa win 2 of the last 3? I don't think so. I think it's done.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So what about you?
Yeah, I totally agree with Danny. I think it's probably done. Sadly enough for both of those clubs, I just don't think Villa or Bournemouth will pick up 6 points over the next 3 games. It's just not going to happen from the positions they're in. It's going to take an absolute miracle. And to be honest with you, after that thumping West Ham win against Norwich, I think they might have a little bit of momentum. And the same can be said for Watford, who picked up a massive 3 points against Newcastle. So I think momentum will see them maybe win 1, and that's all it'll take.
Right, gents, what an afternoon. We've had final questions for you both. Danny, European positions up for place. I want to know your top 4.
I think United and Chelsea. And I think Leicester will sneak in through 5th, because I think City will get the ban half to a year. I don't think they'll get off with it.
Joe, I bet you agree with that, don't you?
Yeah, I think it'll be Chelsea probably in third, United fourth, and then I think Leicester will sneak in through the back door, fifth place.
Right, gents, thank you very much. We've had a strange afternoon. It started as 4, ended as 3. It's like the Matchday, so we should get together and have a sing-song. Joe Tomlinson, thank you for your help.
Cheers, mate. No worries.
Danny,
Brilliant.
pleasure to have you on the Football Social. Hopefully you've not been too put off and you'll join us again, but there are more. We have lots of and here it comes. Arsenal.
Oh, no, he's starting with him now. His internet's going.
He's going now.
Am I going all dodgy? Someone's playing Call of Duty, I think. Arsenal versus Liverpool coming up. That's on Wednesday. And then I think we've got another one coming up now. And there's another show to finish off this wonderful season. But, gents, thank you very much for your help, for joining me. We
Thank you, guys. Enjoyed it.
This has been the Football
Danny.
Social.
Cheers, Will.
Danny, enjoy yourself. And we'll see you soon. Cheers, guys.
See you later, guys. Nice one.